I broke my back.
What do you mean by that? You broke
my back is broken.
What do you mean, calm it down? It's a fight. Referees telling two fighters who want to fight to calm it down? He should calm down.
So he's like a clown in his show, man. He's not your guy.
Because Tyson Fury's back, and all you motherfuckers are under attack.
Look, Eddie Hearn can say all what he likes. Who gives a shit what Eddie Hearn says? It's garbage.
Are you off your tits? Have you been smoking something?
Can you let me retire and be happy? Please? Just please.
Bombs away from the Bronx Bomber!
Water! Let's go, baby! Let's go!
I'm through. They put somebody else up and give me an interview.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
You never give me a fair shake. HBO needs to fire you. You don't know shit about boxing. You ain't shit. You not shit.
I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your ass.
I got dropped, man.
Are you kidding?
No, you won the fight.
OMG, I am so excited.
Any of you radio personalities think you want smoke? Call me Mr. Chimney. I want smoke.
Yes. What is up? MCR family. Another daily edition of the show live on YouTube, obviously podcast form, iTunes, Spotify, Art Radio, etc. I'm Matt, the Hipster Hunter. Obviously, we're going to be discussing all things boxing today. I know we've been off for a while. It's been almost a week. I do apologize. Shots at us. We're trash. Or you guys can head to patreon.com/mixcombatradio. Help donate to the channel and help us get to more shows per week. That's always a possibility as well. But digressing, going to have a lot to discuss today. A ton of fights that happened this weekend. None of them really the biggest fights, but we have some good ones to discuss and break down. Obviously, Peterson retiring against Sergey Lipinets, a really fun fight. Charlie Edwards versus Moreno. A ton of good action to discuss and break down. Even the unfortunate Pulev card, which we have to talk about. God damn, that was so bad and rough. But anyways, digressing. Plus, we have Usyk fighting Takam. It's official. It's confirmed. Oleksandr Usyk's heavyweight debut, though the date might get moved due to who it's competing against. But also, we have Tyson Fury with his ESPN Plus debut being all but confirmed for Tom Schwarz?
Who the fuck is that guy?
I don't know, man. It's going to be a good one here, Fu. Obviously, I'm joined today because it is a late show. We don't have Rob on. Sorry. Our loyal UK listeners, we do apologize. Rob couldn't be on today, but of course, I do have the illustrious Mr. Fugatti, the Chewbacca of the group. Fugatti, how are you doing today? I know it's been a little bit of a rough day, but glad you're here. Glad we can talk some boxing. It's been far too long. How are you doing?
Doing great, man. It's good to be on the show. Good to get some content out for the guys and gals who watch the show. I know we've been away a little while. Very sorry, guys. It's just been, if it's not one of us, it's somebody else on the panel that's having some fucked time in their life. So, but we'll get it all together.
We're here, guys. It's okay. I know everyone's been like, "Oh, we missed you." It's okay, guys. We're here. We never left. Just putting this out there. This channel is none of our day jobs.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately so. So again, patreon.com/mixcombatradio. Let's change that. But let's get into the fights this weekend as quickly as possible because, like I said, wasn't really any big fights that happened, but some entertaining ones that are deserving of note and mention. And then let's get to the news of the day. First, obviously, yesterday's card on FS1, PBC's card, Lamont Peterson versus Sergey Lipinets. A truly fun back-and-forth throwback fight in a way. Both guys were in the phone booth exchanging, and that's sort of what was expected, in my opinion. I think on paper, everyone saw this fight was going to be a good fight. Lipinets is a all-action fighter in his very limited career thus far, and Lamont Peterson has always been a fun all-action fighter, and also a guy that predominantly ignores his reach, ignores his jab, and does like to exchange on the inside and go blow for blow to the body. And Lipinets gladly indulged in that. And on top of that, this fight was a really close fight. I didn't score it live, and I really didn't score it again because I know what happened. I know Lipinets got the knockout in the 10th round. But there's probably an argument that Lamont Peterson was up on the scorecards up until this knockout that kind of came out of nowhere. On top of that, obviously, I think everyone sort of knows if you listen to the show, Peterson did retire in the ring post-fight. Him and Barry Hunter had I think, really a beautiful moment in the ring. It's moments like that really makes you sort of like want to cherish these fighters and the moments they give you. Because Lamont Peterson has been a fun fighter for a decade now, it seems. Like he's been on our minds and headlines for a very, very long time. He had a career at 140 far before he had a career at 147. On top of that, like I said, always been a fun fighter and has also always been a fan favorite in his home area, in the DMV area. Fu, let me get your thoughts on this fight and ring action itself. Were you as entertained as me?
Yeah, I mean, it was like we talked about, through text, kind of on the moment that it was going on. It's a fan favorite kind of fight, right? It's just two guys literally standing toe to toe at point and just seeing who can take the shots. And I feel like Peterson looked bad, obviously, but maybe that it felt more like when the towel was thrown in, maybe they had talked about retirement like pre some of this, because you've seen fighters like go through a lot, right? And make it, especially if they're up on the cards. I could see if you're down on the cards, like maybe they thought they were. But I'm kind of with you, like, Lamont seemed like fine at the point, but really took a beating, especially in that round. Mm-hmm. And the way he got knocked down when the towel came in, I mean, it was really rough to see.
Like when he got stuck in the corner and ate that really big shot, that was one of those that makes you go, ooh, like it makes you feel the pain of the fighter. And plus, Lamont's not a young guy. He's 36 years old. Yeah. I've talked about this a lot. Fighters age rather quickly once they start aging. That downhill slide usually for most people is a quick one. Very rarely do we get career renaissances like a Manny Pacquiao, who has, how many career renaissances, honestly. That's not a normal thing. You have to be an all-time great to do that. And Lamont Peterson is an all-time great. And what his legacy is, I have no idea. He probably doesn't have a giant legacy, but really fun fighter in his time, a really great contemporary to guys that were better than him in his era. And there's a place for people like him in boxing's history. So salute to Lamont Peterson. Great career. And also great way to end it, because this was a really fun fight. If you're not going to win your last fight, at least put on a potential fight of the year while you're at it. Now, let's talk about Lipinets, because obviously he did win the fight. I thought he did look pretty good in it. There was moments I thought he was getting outworked, but honestly, he in my opinion, he realized rather quickly, I can eat a lot of these shots from Peterson because my shots are going to hurt him more. By round 7 or 8, you would see Lamont throw a 3 or 4 piece, and Lipinets come back with a 1 or 2. And that 1 or 2 seemed like it had a bigger effect than the 3 and 4 piece combo from Lamont Peterson. So I am curious about Lipinets moving forward, because I do think game planning is an issue with him. But I think he's going to be just a great B-side, all-action fighter in the top 10. I think that's sort of his role. What I would like next for him is the winner of Danny Garcia, Adrian Granados. I think that is the perfect fight for Sergey Lipinets. I have seen people say Omar Figueroa. I think that's at best a sidestep from Lamont Peterson. And for me personally, a downstep, a backstep from Lamont Peterson. I think he should just progress to maybe a guy that's going to be left out of that top 5. Because obviously we know we have Spence, Pacquiao, Thurman, and Porter. And those 4 guys are going to be matched up in whatever ways. I think Danny's going to be the odd man out. Give me Danny Garcia, Sergey Lipinets. But for you, Fu, what do you want for Sergey Lipinets next? And what do you see for him in this division at 147 pounds?
I don't think... Man, he's a tough guy. You saw that with Mikey, when they fought at 140. Like you saw it in this fight, obviously. He can take a punch. He's definitely game. Is he ever going to be like really mixing it up with the top I don't think so. But like you said, he'll be in fun fights with those guys. He'll test some of those, like maybe some of those guys coming up. Maybe like I
put it this way. I know this is not happening next. I know it shouldn't happen next, but imagine like an Errol Spence Sugar Lipinets fight. How fun would that be? Obviously, we sort of know the action. But I mean, if Errol Spence is taking a tune-up sort of in between fight in the middle of big fights, he takes a Sergey Lipinets, that's a great all-action fight. I'm down with that. And I did mention Danny Garcia. I think Lipinets could give Danny Garcia some issues. Maybe that's just because Danny's style is not the greatest. But I think, a lot of people have been comparing him to Provodnikov. I think a part of that is due to the ethnic comparison as well. Like, they're both Eastern European Russians. Like, you're going to compare them a little bit. I don't know if really that's the best one-to-one analog, but whatever he is fun, and there is plenty of space in a top 10 in any division for a fun fighter. He might be like the big baby Miller of welterweight in a sense. Not that he's this big guy and he's the exact style, but the fact that, hey, he's probably not going to beat any of these guys, but fun B-side, fun fighter, throws a lot of volume, always in all-action fights, and sort of rely on him to produce entertainment. That has a lot of value in boxing. And I hope Lipinets, I should say, I hope PBC notices the value in Lipinets. I feel like he's sort of been underutilized in his career thus far, but he's also had a very young career. He's only 14-1. I'll be honest, nothing really else on this card jumped out to me. The Jamonte Clark, Vernon Brown fight was really fun. Vernon Brown basically knocked down Jamonte Clark several times. It almost was in, I think it was the second or third round. But Clark came back and actually won the unanimous decision. Really fun fight. But nothing much else on this card that I care about, even though the Anthony Peterson or Argenis Mendes fight could really care less for. It wasn't really that fun of a fight. But shout out to Lamont Peterson and Sergey Lipinets. Can't wait for what's next for Lipinets. Any last thoughts on this card, Fu?
No, I was just going to say, if you look at the top 10 welterweights, you got Jesse Vargas in there. You've got Jamal James, a couple of these guys where, like, I think Lipinets would have, like, a decent shot of maybe breaking into the top 10 against some of those guys.
Well, you don't think he's top 10 now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just looking real quick to see kind of like who we could see him with some, and I think,
Jamal James fight would be fun.
Yeah, that'd be a good fight. And Vargas is always in like fun fights. They're just like fucking just, straight brawl, rock'em sock'em robot fights,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think, maybe he could get in there and get a fight with one of these belt holders, make himself some decent money and like get some money division. So yeah, and he'll test some of these guys. Like, it'd be good to see somebody who's going to come forward against Spence, or somebody who's, maybe going to push Thurman in a next fight or something like that,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely agree.
So,
let's move to the DAZN card on Saturday. Charlie Edwards defending his WBC title, flyweight title against Angel Moreno in the main event. Really fun fight as well. I would say this fight and the Lamont Peterson, Sergey Lipinets fight were the fights I enjoyed the most out of the weekend. Edwards' ability to really set traps for Moreno was interesting. I thought his ability to switch stances on the fly and be creative with his shots was impressive. The fact that he is only 26 and a very young fighter career-wise, you never know how fast he can make leaps of improvements, I will say that his lack of power is an issue with some of the top guys at 112 pounds right now, especially a guy like Koze Tanaka. But Angel Moreno is a 35, 36-year-old Spanish dude, like a guy that's really predominantly only fought in Spain as well. It doesn't do a lot for me personally. Not a bad opponent, not a bad win, not by any stretch of the imagination, but definitely not one that makes me think, yes, he is the guy to beat Koze Tanaka next. Though, I'll be honest, I do want that fight next. Your thoughts on this fight, Fu? Edwards defeating Moreno via unanimous decision, in a really fun back and forth fight, even though it was, in my opinion, rather dominant.
It was absolutely dominant. I just pure ability. I think he's got to be the best in the weight class in terms of a boxer. Like, I love the guy. He's so fun to watch.
I'll put it this way. Edwards is by far more creative than a lot of these other guys, but I don't think he's a better boxer than Tanaka. There's times where Edwards gets too wild in there. Where he gets a little bit too loose. He gets too creative, and he's out of position, and he's open to counters. And a real opponent, a real top guy, will make him pay like Casamora did and hurt him. That's my concern. Is that in order to face a guy like Tanaka, even like a Methylane, you need perfect defense. Like, you need to not commit those errors and flaws as much as he did. And maybe that's due to the opponent. Maybe Moreno was really offering him not that much, and he felt he could do that and not pay for it. But Moreno was pressuring him. So it wasn't like he had space and time to set up all this creative offense. He had pressure. He had to deal with that pressure. So when you have a guy like Tanaka who's delivering that same pressure, but he's a far better boxer, he's a pound-for-pound level boxer, and he has power to boot, that's concerning for me. It is. I do want to go back and watch the Rosales fight and see how he dealt with that with Rosales' power in a way, if he was a little bit more focused in that fight in a way, because there's moments in this fight he seemed out of focus in a way where he was getting sloppy with his work, and that is concerning moving forward. But again, he's 26 years old, and that might not be an issue 3 years on the line when he maybe does fight Tanaka. I don't think they fight next, but hell, please give me that fight.
I also think that you can be so far. It's like some of these boxers, like when it's not someone that's on their level, like, and let's be real, like Moreno, as far as a boxer, was not on his level, right?
No.
So he was tough. He was coming forward the whole time. He was putting pressure on him.
This is like, in my opinion, this is Tevin Farmer, Jonah Carroll. You know what I mean?
And it's a fun fight. It's a guy who's going to keep coming at you. It's a guy who's going to test, your mental strength at times, And we did see Charlie Edwards for all the look. I think absolutely dominant. 12 rounds, won them all. Just looked brilliant. Where he did look weak is there were moments where he couldn't get away and he just kind of shelled up, took some body shots.
Or even worse, he couldn't get away and he was too wide. He was too stretched out. He was too spread out in terms of his body. The guys will make him pay for that, especially these top guys. And Moreno's not that, in my opinion. Obviously. And Edwards, even though he is a top guy, he might just be the third best guy in the division. And that's not a crime, but I don't see yet Edwards being the guy in the division. He definitely has room to grow, definitely has improvement to be had, and plus he's 26 years old, so he has time to do that. This isn't I wouldn't say this isn't heavy criticism. This is just constructive criticism more so that, hey, Edwards, fantastic fighter, fantastic performance, but there are holes in your game right now, and these top guys will make you pay. They have before.
What I don't like is the lack of respect people give this kid for just a very dominant performance. Like, it's not easy to win 12 rounds of any fight.
No.
And he won every round of this fight. There was maybe a couple of moments where you were like, oh, that was a good round for the other guy, but he won every one of those rounds. And I think from what Hearn was saying, they want to take him up to Superfly and they want to make the Cal Yafai fight, which I don't think is a good idea. But it does maybe speak to they don't think he could beat Tanaka or Unify. I don't know if that's kind of where his head is. Like there's more money at the next level, so
there is
move
more
up.
There is more money at super flyweight. That's pretty obvious, but that's a deeper, harder division. Like you got Serkat Sorungsvi at the top of that motherfucker. You got Estrada at that division. Like Tanaka is great, but he's also a true flyweight. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see him actually moving up to super flyweight at any point. I can see him just reigning at 112 for the rest of his career for a decade and just dominating that division, right? So I think Edwards being the taller, ranger guy, style-wise, he has a better shot against Tanaka than he does against Rungvisai or Estrada. I think from a pure style matchup, Tanaka is the, quote, easier fight. But right now, I think all these top names he loses to. I will say that. Even guys at 112, like what's his name, Dalikin, or the Eastern European guy, I think he's from Azerbaijan, undefeated guy, insane knockout power, great Olympic pedigree, great fighter. I think he has the WBA regular belt right now, or the super, I forget. But that guy could beat Edwards right now, in my opinion. Like, Edwards needs to fine-tune the craft a little bit more. Do you know who his trainer is, by chance? I forget.
Grant Smith. Yeah. He was training with Adam Booth, I believe, at one point, right?
I think you're right.
And then left and went to Grant Smith, and
I like him to go
to be closer to home. His trainer's very good.
I think he needs to go to either Ben Davison or Caldwell. I would like, for his style and to fine-tune that style. Those two coaches, in my mind, really do a great job of that. Or Dominic Ingle, but Dominic Ingle seems like he is losing a lot of fighters right now, so there might be issues with that camp. So that's why I didn't mention him. But Caldwell and Davison, those two guys are amazing when it comes to fine-tuning boxers and fine-tuning that, like, elusive style. And Edwards is basically that. He is that.
What Caldwell does really well, if you watch, like, especially Jordan Gill pre-Caldwell, or early fights, like maybe 2-3 fights in, he just didn't sit on his punches. He didn't have, like, the power, right? And what Caldwell seems to be able to do pretty well, and honestly, like, a lot of those, if you're training with Fowler, I'm sure you're like, I mean, that fucking guy, like, literally puts everything into, like, every punch he has, So I'm sure that some of that is just part of being a part of a gym with just amazing talent, right? And Ben Davison would be great for him. I think what I like about Ben Davison too is that he is very cool and calm under pressure.
He's a fighter's coach, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, he's a real fighter's coach. Just being around him, the little bit I have been around him, I think any fighter would love to be coached by him. You know what I mean?
Well, he's got this. What he does is he trusts. He's not going to change your style. He's going to enhance your style.
Yep.
And that's what's good about him.
And that's what I think Edwards really needs. It's not really a change in the style. I think his style is fantastic. I think he just needs to fine-tune it. I think he needs better drilling, so to speak, where, more pressure drilling, more, I forget the term, but, like, when you sort of, like, mock drilling, like, you pretend like you're hurt. You pretend like you're getting knocked down. You just got up from a knockdown. You have to survive the round now. Like, sort of those scenario type of drilling, I think, would be really beneficial to Edwards. And plus, just the pad work I've seen from Davison and guys like Caldwell, guys like Dominic Ingle, they do very good pad work, very great drilling with pads and mitts when it comes to those elusive fighters. It just makes a lot of sense to me. But digress from Edwards, fantastic fighter, very young fighter with a lot of potential. Can't wait to see what's next in his career. Speaking of potential, gosh, Asher Barazzi, he might be. I mean, I'm trying to think of comparisons, right, with a guy like this, with Barazzi, because he's so clean. Like, there's no wasted movement with him. There's no wasted effort with him. There's no wasted punches with him. Everything is controlled, dialed in, focused, fundamentally clean, and powerful. Some people I can think of, maybe like an Earl Spence, who he sort of reminds me of in a way. Mikey Garcia with more power. There's certain guys that he reminds me of, but whatever he will end up being, it's gonna be elite. Like, he passes the eye test in so many ways. I don't think he's literally had a hard fight yet. Like, I don't think he's had a hard round yet in his career. That might be the only issue, is that we really haven't seen him tested yet. But that's also just due to his level of talent, his level of skill. at being 10-0 now, God knows what's next for him because he is really young. He only has 10 fights. I don't know if you really want to fast track this guy, but you can. Like, I think you absolutely can fast track him if you want to. If you're Eddie, if you're Matchroom, if you're Sky, and you're thinking, hey, let's step on the gas a little bit with this guy. We need another UK headliner with a lot of our guys leaving or retiring. Let's sort of push in high gear now with this kid. I don't know if they do that, but like I said, I think he'll still be successful. Buatsi is fantastic. Like I said, he is. If you were to show any boxing head a prospect that's, quote, perfect, like the perfect prospect, Buatsi's high on that list. They're very high on that list. He may not have the social media yet to back it like a Ryan Garcia. I've been seeing think pieces calling him the Lil Uzi Vert of the SoundCloud age of boxing, whatever that fucking is. Buatsi's actually talented. He might be a backpack rapper, but he has talent. For your thoughts on this potential elite fighter in the next couple of years, this potential champion in the next couple of years, how high do you think the ceiling is for Buatsi?
Man, I think it's very high because he has things that a lot of prospects don't have. When he gets people hurt, he's very patient. That's something I always look for. Like, that's something that really impresses me a lot about AJ, right? He's very composed. Like, if AJ gets somebody hurt, he doesn't waste a punch. Like, he's going to put them down, right? And there's a lot of fighters who, especially 9 fights in, that could not have that composure, right? And his footwork is really good. He's very good defensively. He doesn't have very many flaws. I don't know about fast tracking him, but I think at this point, he's really embarrassed pretty much anyone he's come up against. So it's almost like, what do you do with him?
And
next?
also, like, he hasn't gone rounds. Like, that's another, like, not a problem, but I think if you're like a coach, if you're in his camp, you sort of want him to go 10 rounds. And even if it's a dominant 10 rounds, you want to see that. And we haven't. It's all been, what, sub 6 rounds, sub 4 round knockouts for this guy. I think that is an issue, but I think that his team would like to see that first. And we just haven't yet. Like, it's been such an easy 10 fights for this guy. I don't know how to contextualize it. Like, nobody's had 10 fights look this way to begin their career. Nobody.
Well, what I will say is that if they're going to even play with the idea of Yard taking on like a Kovalev or a Sullivan Barrera, then 100% Buatsi can be in those fights. Like, because Yard is not nearly the talent that Buatsi is. Just, he's not. Like, we've seen, I don't even think that his team believes, Yard's team believes, he's as good as like a Buatsi. They would never put him in the ring with Buatsi, for sure. There's no way in the world that fight would get made.
No.
You know? So maybe a Sullivan Barrera, I don't know, a Joe Smith. I don't know, there's a couple people maybe in the top 10, 15 you could make some really good fights with and just see where he's at. But
Callum Johnson would be a fun one.
Callum Johnson.
That's an in-house UK fight. That would make sense. I mean, maybe pull like a John Pascal out of some, Montreal club. I would probably do that, even though I would then criticize the matchup because John Pascal is severely old, but it makes sense. Maybe you go and look at like some of the people that Bivol, Beterbiev, Vajic have fought recently and sort of try to go at a recent opponent of theirs. No one really comes to mind right now. Maybe like a Mohammadi or somebody along that lines. Somebody that's been in with names but it's always lost those names. I think that's sort of the opponent you try to go for next. But again, perfect performance for Buatsi. Whatever's next for him, I'll be watching.
So recent.
I was gonna have a great segue to the next fight, but you ruined it. Go for.
Sorry, bro.
Go for.
Recent opponents for Barrera's Shawnee Monahan, Beterbiev, Callum Johnson.
Go down Better Beeves a little bit more. So you have Callum Johnson's. Who else?
Let me pull it up on his box rec.
Do we have to talk about Lawrence Okoli?
Yeah, it was a dominant performance.
I mean, the best part was the trolling by Chamberlain. Let's be honest.
That was really funny.
That was the best part of the fight.
You know, people control him all they want, but they got to beat him in the ring. That's the thing. You know, and he's not going to be easy to beat.
I control him as much as I I want without getting in the ring with him.
Well, no, I mean, but like fighters, you know what I mean.
I know. Do you have that for me, or are you still going?
Kalogic.
Oh, Hot Rod.
Last one, yeah. Coling, Prieto.
No, Hot Rod's not the last one. That's the next one.
Yeah, the next one. Yeah. Sorry.
Campio.
I think.
Oh, Campio.
Honestly,
That makes
you're
sense.
looking, yeah.
That makes sense. You want somebody that's been in there. Callum Johnson makes the most sense to me. But let's go to Lawrence Okoli. You said it was dominant. Look, it was. But when we talk about people that are natural fighters and natural boxers, like people like Buatsi with talent literally oozing out of their pores, you then have a guy like Lawrence Okoli, who is trying his hardest, guys. Like, we have to give him that. He is trying really hard to look like a boxer. But he doesn't. Like, when he throws a punch, it doesn't seem natural. It seems so forced and so non-human-like. I don't know how to describe it. Like, it looks like he's a robot that's like from like 1999, so it's like super mechanical. And like, remember the super deep cut, but it's mainly because I was watching Friends the other day. Remember the episode with Joey? I don't know if you watched Friends. I hope you did.
I do.
Okay.
And did.
Oh,
Yeah.
You do. I like how you said that. Where Joey is on that cop show with the robot, like Mac and Cheese. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
And the robot is just like the eyes and like the fake lips and like just the metal arms. That's fucking Lawrence Okoli trying to box. Okay? It is that bad. And yes, it is dominant. But who is he fighting? Literally no one. Even Chamberlain, who had a great troll in the crowd, he's a no one. I'm sorry. Like, none of these guys are relatively any player in the cruiserweight division. These are ranked 60+ guys. So, yeah, Okoli looked dominant against this guy who I don't really care about and know about. I've seen him fight a couple times. He's always looked bad. But that doesn't mean anything to me. On top of that, he still looks bad. Like, he still doesn't look good. Yes, he threw more punches in this fight, but those punches still don't look like they're natural body movements in any sort of definition of that phrase. So maybe I'm hypercritical about Lawrence Okoli. Maybe I'm just a hater. Could be true. I am a prick. I am a prick. That is 100% true. So, Fu, your thoughts on this? And if you have a different opinion, go for it. It's okay.
I think it's like watching Shaquille O'Neal play basketball in high school. Like, he was clumsy. He wasn't. I mean,
You were being far too mean to Shaquille O'Neal in high school.
No, I mean, Shaquille O'Neal in high school was really bad. He had just grown like 10 inches. He didn't really know how to move with his frame. And then, he put weight on in college, dominated the NBA, right? So,
what Phil? Did you
I'm reading what Unrivaled said. I think that Okoli is going to be really, really dominant, but it's going to take a lot more fights than maybe some of the other guys, right? Here's my take on him.
He needs the Wilder route. He needs 30+ fights before he ever fights anyone that's good. Honestly.
Well, see, and here's the thing is, like, Wilder still, I will say Okoli in 2 fights has learned how to put punches better together than even Wilder in 40. Like, his punches are straighter, they're tighter. Like, in the last fight, like, you can't say that he didn't work on stuff.
Okay, Fu, I need you to answer this honestly and put away your UK flag in the background, okay?
Okay.
The imaginary one, obviously, the proverbial one. Are you telling me that when you see Lawrence Okolie throw punches, it seems like a more natural human movement than when Wilder throws a punch. Do you get what I'm saying by that? Like,
no, I understand. There are moments where Wilder throws a really good, straight, tight punch or a hook that is good. Most of the time, I will say,
like I'm not talking about I'm not talking about the slapping shots. No, they don't look similar. No, stop. They don't look similar. They don't look similar. No,
man, come on.
No, look. Okay, Fu. We're gonna do this for Patreon. Okay, we're gonna film ourselves and somehow get it where we can put side by side Lawrence Okolie fighting and Wilder fight and compare just the punching technique. Okay, and I get what you're saying about Okolie in a couple fights has. I would say maybe better accuracy than
BK. Yeah, they both can't box.
I mean, we are splitting hairs here, honestly. Yeah. But I mean, I can't watch Okolie box anymore, guys. Like, I really can't. It makes me hurt.
But you will.
Like, it reminds me. It reminds me of like watching that guy at the gym hit the heavy bag that's never hit a heavy bag in his life, and he has MMA gloves on. You know what I'm talking about? Like those guys. Okolie is that, and he has, like, pedigree. Like, he has 11 fights now. He fucking trains with Anthony fucking Joshua, and yet he still has, in my opinion, the worst punching technique in all of boxing. At least at the very top. Like, or at least at the names we talk about and the names we discuss, he has the worst punching technique out of everyone, including Deontay Wilder. I will die on that hill any day of the week.
What about... not worse than the ESPN guy?
No. That was that. I forget the dude's name. Fat Apple sent the link. I forget the guy's name,
yeah,
but no,
funny as hell.
That one's worse. That one's by far the worst one, guys.
I'm riding with Okolie though. I think in 20 fights we're gonna be like, damn, this guy's pretty damn good.
I don't think that.
In 2 fights he's made huge headway.
No.
So I'm telling you. You go back 2 fights and then go to this fight and be like, damn, he's put a lot of work in.
Oh my god, damn. You know what?
And he didn't duck $120 million to go undisputed.
You know, I
already like him more.
I don't care about that. I don't care about that at this point. I don't ever want to see Lawrence Okolie throw a punch in my life again. At least he's not putting on as bad fights. I will give him that. Speaking of a guy that never puts on bad fights, Lewis Ritson putting on a unanimous decision win against German Argentino Benitez. I mean, I feel like I'm going to be hypercritical again here. I don't want to be.
Me too. Sorry, Rob.
Sorry, Rob. Rob's waking up right now, getting all pissed off. I can just tell. Ritson is a fun fight, or a fun fighter, I should say. Like, he is a great mid-level card fighter. There's a place for people like him in boxing. I want to make that perfectly clear. There is a valuable place for people like Lewis Ritson in boxing. However, I don't ever want to see him headline a card. I don't ever want to hear about him fighting anyone of note at all. He is an all-action club fighter at best. And he has a lot of push behind him because of the Matchroom Sky Sports machine. Let's just be 100% honest about it. Ritson has 0 defense. There's 0. No, I'm not saying like he's bad. No, 0. If we're talking about Fight Night and he has a rating for defense and head movement and all that, it's 0. It's not 1. It's not 5. It's not 7. It is 0. On top of that, he really offensively is basic, limited. Doesn't have much beyond forward pressure and aggression in straight lines. So, yeah, I know Lewis Ritson has some fanfare behind him, sort of like Dave Allen in a sense, not to that extent, but sort of reminiscent to that, in my opinion. He is nowhere near even Dave Allen's skill level. So, I don't even know how much we should talk about Lewis Ritson as a relevant player. Like, I don't think we should talk about like news of Lewis Ritson, who he should be fighting next, as topics for the show. If he has a fun fight, we mention it, and that's about it, I think, until he shows us something different. And I'll be honest, I don't think he does. And again, that's okay. There's a valuable place for people like Lewis Ritson in boxing. But let's not pretend he's something he's not. Let's not do that, guys. We don't have to.
Yeah, man. One thing I really noticed is he's not very accurate of a puncher either. He had about at least 3 to 5 low blows in the third round that did not get called, that he got away with. He does like really stupid shit where he's like pushing on his gloves while he's walking forward. You know, like he's adjusting his gloves or adjusting his shorts and walking forward, though. Like a lot of guys are smart enough. Like if you're adjusting something, you kind of hold your place, then kind of go forward. And he gets caught a lot doing that shit, right? And it's just, there are mental lapses, like severe mental lapses in his game that he really shouldn't have at like 19 fights, like, you know, 19 like fights on this level, you know, and he doesn't, man, one thing I'll say, whoever named him Sandman, if it was himself or somebody else,
awful nickname.
Fucking, you can't be a guy who doesn't knock people out and name yourself the Sandman. You know, like every time I see it on the back of his shorts, I'm like, you know, like, are you literally like, is it that you're putting me to sleep or the guy you're in the ring with? Because it's fucking boring, my guy. And why is he not still fighting at 135? Like, I'm going to go in. Is he just too undisciplined to fight at 135? Because he's a lot better at 135.
Yo, you're going to wake up to so many texts from Rob in the morning. I hope you know that, okay?
Saying.
He's going to be mad at you. You're going to have to sleep on the couch. I hope you know, man.
I'm just saying. I'm not trying to... Look, Ritson is 19 fights in and a better 135 fighter than a 140 fighter. Like, he's not going to do shit at 140. Not at the high end. They're going to fuck him up.
He's not going to do anything anywhere, guys. Like, he's never reached even high-level domestic UK level. Like, he's never... as far as I know, like he's never... I mean, he did win a vacant intercontinental. Never mind. He won some fucking belt over there for European Championship, probably. But regardless...
Yeah.
I mean, the Lewis Ritson hype train should end now. Speaking of hype trains that have far ended already, Jason Quigley also fought... sorry, do you have any more points about Ritson, or are you good?
No.
You off the soapbox? Okay.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
I didn't see Jason Quigley's fight. I will make that very apparent because I don't care to see Jason Quigley fight. Really, he's a guy that was a hype train in a big way, and he's also, I think, one of the fighters that was severely hurt by Manny Robles' style. As a trainer, I think he was severely hurt by that. But Jason Quigley, whatever is, I mean, he won here. I didn't see the fight. Good for him. He fought a guy that was 10-1-2. Cool. I've never heard this guy that he fought. Means nothing to me. Shannon Courtney making her debut, who's obviously received a lot of hype. Mainly, I think, not mainly. She's a very good-looking woman, and plus she has some good boxing pedigree. She put on a ass whooping against Christina. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce her last name. I will say this though, I am kind of upset that they didn't stop the fight in the first round. This is one of those that they could have stopped in the first round, and I would not have been mad at all. Fu, your thoughts on any of these undercard fights? Or are you ready to move on?
Move on. Shannon Courtenay. Let's see what she's got.
Yeah, it wasn't that much. Like, again, whatever. She's cute. Let's talk about this Sam Maxwell fight against Sabri Sadiri. Again, one of the fights I have not seen in its entirety. I've only seen the last round with the knockout. So I don't know if the showboating was happening for the entire fight. But if it was, and then that guy got the knockout at the very end, man, kudos to him. Kudos to him. That's all I have to say about that. Plus, it was a fantastic knockout. But Nathan Gorman also found the card. I did not watch any of this card because it was on at the same time as the Pulev card, I believe. So I chose to watch the Pulev card instead. But anyways, let's get to that Pulev card. Because, again, I don't think you watched this card either, Phil, right?
No, I didn't watch the Pulev card. I mean, I've seen some of the fight. I saw him be a complete fucking idiot after in an interview, and you know, yeah. So
kind of
I don't know that I'll be going back to watch either.
You don't. Okay, I watched it so I guess I have to talk about it. I will say I'll briefly mention that whole post-fight interview thing. Pulev sexually assaulted a reporter. If anyone out there saying right now that she was okay with it, she wasn't. She literally was on Twitter saying, "It was awkward. I was embarrassed."
Yeah.
That's not okay. Fundamentally, if that was your wife, girlfriend, mother, daughter, and some big ass dude just grabs her and starts kissing her, you're not gonna like that. You're not. So keep that fucking same energy, people. Don't be misogynistic assholes. Be better, boxing fans and boxing media. It's not that hard. And Pulev, a creepy asshole. Like, I think that's pretty obvious right now. Like, only creepy assholes do stuff like that. Be honest. And also, I'll say this about the fight. You don't ever need to see this fight. Don't ever watch it. You're good. You're good. I think we can honestly never see a Pulev fight again, even though he's a top 10, top 15 heavyweight, and be completely okay with the world. And I know that's really harsh to say because, I'm predominantly, a fighter first guy. But Pulev, nah. And also, any sort of goodwill you had at all is completely gone over here. So that's all I have to say about Pulev's shitty fight against Bogdan Danu, who, God, I can't believe he fought Bogdan Danu. The fact that we had to watch Bogdan Danu twice in 6 months face top 15 heavyweights and lose twice is fucking pathetic, period.
Yeah.
And also, the fact that this wasn't even the worst heavyweight matchup we're going to talk about on this show is even more pathetic. Before we get to that, let's talk about the undercard. Jesse Magdaleno fought his big comeback fight since the Isaac Dogbe loss, him moving up a weight division as well. I was really curious about this fight. Plus, I was hyped on Jesse Magdaleno post Nonito Donaire. I remember thinking, man, this guy looks like he's going to be the best bantamweight or super bantamweight. I think he might go on a run. I think he's the best guy out of that Manny Robles gym at the time. But Oscar Valdez, Dominic Brazil, who else? I think you had Michael Collin at the time. It was a good gym at one point. It had tons of good names. But Jesse Magdaleno was clearly the best of the bunch and had the best win. He beat Nonito Donaire. So I was hyped on the guy. I was hyped on him. And then Isaac Dogbe took his soul. So I was, again, highly curious about how does Magdaleno look into this matchup. He did not look as good as I had hoped. On top of that, I didn't really see any technical changes or improvements to his game. He started out hyper aggressive in that first round, trying to go for the knockout. I think that wasn't smart. It made him look sloppy. It made him look a little bit, what's the term? Like he was definitely like almost begging for the finish. Like, he wasn't working on it. He wasn't working on his boxing game. It was just, in my opinion, sort of a bad performance in a comeback fight. Hopefully that's what it is. Just it's a comeback after, a year and a half layoff. Hopefully that's what this issue was. I will say this, though. I'm very glad that they did not make the Christopher Diaz fight at 126 pounds for Magdaleno, because I think he would have lost. I think Magdaleno needs a couple more fights to get his legs back under him. Because, again, this performance wasn't what I was looking for out of a guy that I am still hyped on in a way, but that hype is definitely diminishing as time is wearing on. I know you have not seen this card, Fu. Do you have any thoughts about Magdaleno? I know you haven't seen the fight itself, but any sort of grand thoughts, micro thoughts about the guy and his career?
Well, this is definitely a fight I'm going to go back and watch. I am a big Magdaleno fan. I've watched, and if you guys don't watch this little series, there's like an Under the Hand Wraps or whatever on YouTube. He does like some really good. He's got a good Michael Conlon one, a really good Magdaleno, and I think a Caballero one. That's all really good. So I really like Magdaleno as a person. I think he's a great boxer. Again, moving up a weight class though to featherweight from super bantam, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know that he has the power that he's going to need. And I think, you know, in a comeback fight, he probably was just trying too hard to impress and get the guy out of there. So let's see how he kind of settles into it. But overall, very talented guy. I don't think, unless maybe he was weight drained. I wish people wouldn't take a loss and then immediately jump out of that weight class. Like, I think he could have probably still done more in that weight class, especially if he could make the weight.
He did say that weight cut was extremely hard. So because of him saying that, I think he probably had to move up to 126. So he did say that the weight cut was hard. I will at least add that.
I think skill-wise, he'll give some people some problems at 126. I just wonder if the power is going to be there. That's, you know, moving up a weight class if you're not knocking people out. You know, I don't know.
Another thing is that all the top guys at 126 pounds right now aren't on ESPN. They're either on DAZN, if you're like a Joseph Diaz. No, he moved to 130, huh? No, Golden Boy doesn't really have anyone at 126. So PBC has basically everyone at the top right now. Maybe you bring like a Carl Frampton, or Josh Warrington. You know, you sort of make those fights that are sort of in the ESPN umbrella because of Frank Warren. But I don't think he's going to fight Oscar Valdez. Like, I don't think that's ever going to happen. If it does, I'll be kind of shocked because those guys are really good friends. I just think his options are kind of limited at 126 pounds. You know, like a good fight for him would be like a Leo Santa Cruz fight, right? But that doesn't seem likely at all right now, let's be honest. Moving on quickly, just to mention a couple of the undercard fights. Maxim Dadashev getting another KO win. The guy is absolutely on a tear, now 13-0 at 140 pounds. Great pedigree, great prospect. Can't wait to see what's next for him. I think they probably just fast-track him and put him in there with a guy like Jose Ramirez next. Why not? You don't have a lot of pieces at 140 pounds. Why not just do that? Eric De Leon picked up a win. Chris Van Heerden picked up a win. That's about it for the card. Let's move on to the news of the day. Foo. God, Oleksandr Usyk. What a fucking boss. Can we just say that? It isn't the perfect fight. I will say this. I know a lot of people have been like bigging up this matchup, but it's not the one I would have picked. But I think out of the options, it's still a really good fight. Mike Coppinger coming out saying source Usyk, Carlos Takam have agreed to return for a May 18th fight in Chicago, streamed on DAZN. Eddie Hearn has recently come out and said that they're thinking about moving it to May 17th to not conflict with the Deontay Wilder Dominic Brazil fight on Showtime. Fu, your thoughts on Usyk in his heavyweight debut finally sort of being announced? Carlos Takam. What do you think of the matchup? And on top of that, what do you think about them either A, moving the date to Friday before the Wilder Brazil card, or competing head-to-head with a Wilder Brazil Showtime card? Your thoughts on that?
Man, I think it'll be fun if it gets moved to like a Friday, because then, you know, you can do a live fight. We could do a live fight chat for both of them. Mm-hmm. What I will say is Usyk's a fucking boss. Coming in and taking Takam for his first heavyweight fight, like, he's fighting a tougher competitor at heavyweight than, you know, fucking Fury is. So, yeah, it's pretty wild, right?
Don't worry, Fury. We're gonna get to you in a second.
Yeah.
Whack-ass.
And I expect to see. Look, I mean, Usyk's special. You know, like, we've all watched this guy. I want to see if he's got. I think it's going to be more of like a Lomachenko, right? It's going to be a heavyweight. He's going to be more like a Lomachenko. It's going to be like stoppages by accumulation. It's going to be towels getting thrown in. It's going to be people quitting on their stool because they can't do anything. Or just, you know, 12-round fucking just shutouts, you know?
I will say this. Have you seen Usyk lately? He's
looking fucking big.
He's packed on some muscle, man. I wouldn't be surprised if he's more like, let's say, a good like 225, 230 in the ring, and he can still move around a lot and actually has some pop. Because even though it was a very long time ago and he did beat Joe Joyce by decision, he was hurting Joe Joyce throughout that fight. And he's also, I would say, hurt most of his cruiserweight opponents. The ones that sort of made it out were still hurt on the way most of the time. I think that Usyk's power isn't going to be as much of an issue as maybe some people out there are thinking at heavyweight, especially when you combine that, like you said, with his boxing ability. He might just style on a lot of these guys. Because fundamentally speaking, he's a better boxer than, I would say, everyone at heavyweight. Right? Like, that really isn't out of... That doesn't need to be argued, right?
I mean, it'd be him or Fury. When Fury's on. You know, when Fury's on, it'd be him or Fury. You know?
I would still say Usyk, but yeah.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
I put Billy Joe Saunders and Fury in like this really elite boxing category. Like, if they're really focused and you look at like their best displays in the ring, they're fucking untouchable. You know? And Usyk has that ability as well. You know, he can do anything in the ring. He literally is probably, I'm with you. He's probably one of the best boxers in the entire
he's pound for pound
fucking sport.
He's pound for pound top 5, let's be honest.
Yeah.
I think this is a great step up, or I should say debut, not step up. It's a great debut at heavyweight. The Povetkin fight, I mean, he's come out and said that he accepted it, and his camp have come out and said that. I just don't know if that's the case. I'm not saying that he's lying or anything like that. It just, I think Eddie, Matt from DAZN, they want a Usyk-Povetkin fight. That made the most sense in the world for them. I think if Povetkin really did say yes and if negotiations were 100% honest, they would have made that fight. I think something must have happened as to why that fight was not made, and we now have Takam. But I think Takam is probably going to be a more durable opponent for Usyk nowadays. Povetkin's a pretty old heavyweight in 2019. Let's just put that, just be honest about that. Plus, he's coming off a devastating KO loss. So is Takam, but he, again, a little bit younger than Povetkin. I think Takam is going to be jabbed to death in this fight and eventually eat maybe an uppercut or a left hand that puts him out. Like, I really think Takam is going to get put out at some point in this fight. It's going to be a punch he doesn't see coming, and Usyk is just turning him, and then bam, he catches him with a wide left hook or something. I think Usyk is going to be an easy top 5 guy in the division. So this is a good step up, like I said, like for us to see that. If he comes out here and trashes Takam, that proves a lot. If he struggles with Takam, that also proves a lot, just the other way around. Any last thoughts on Usyk's heavyweight debut versus Takam? I also echo what you said. I hope they do move it to May 17th. I hate when we have conflicting cards on the same night on Saturday. It pisses me off. I'd rather have a Friday, Saturday, Sunday night staggered, events if we can do that. Make it happen, boxing. Not that hard. Fu, any last thoughts on this topic?
No, I think this is going to be really fun to see. And if Usyk can be that, like a top guy, top 5 in heavyweight, then, maybe it won't go to shit, because he's definitely someone who fights everyone. So,
speaking of going to shit, Tyson Fury. God damn it, Tyson. Ruined all of our hopes and dreams, man. Tyson Fury versus Tom Schwarz. Yes, may the Schwarz be with you. Reportedly in play. I think all sides have but confirmed this, right? Like, I've yet to see a press release about this, but Fury's saying it's happening. Schwartz's camp is saying it's happening. Everyone's saying it's happening. I think a date has just been given out, I think, by Keith Idek or Mike Coppinger today. I think it was like June 15th. So this is happening. And we're going to get Tyson Fury versus Tom Schwarz, guys, as Tyson Fury's ESPN Plus debut. Fu, I desperately just want to tear this apart with, some really deep-seated anger, right? But none of me was surprised by this. Like, when I saw this, I literally chuckled and, just moved about my day. This is complete Tyson Fury MO 101, right? Like, this is not surprising in any way. On top of that, it's completely disappointing. It's completely laughable. And when you have a fucking cruiserweight moving up and facing a better opponent than you that's indicative of something. On top of that, I don't want to hear Tyson Fury mention Wilder's name, mention AJ's name, mention anyone's fucking name. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear Bob Arum talk about, hey, we're going to make the Wilder fight in 2020. Bob, shut the fuck up and sit down. Don't mention Wilder's name. Don't mention any of these people's name. You're fighting Tom Schwarz, for God's sake. Okay? You have zero right to speak right now in the boxing community, in my opinion. This is so disrespectful to the fans of not just boxing, but like even Tyson Fury fans. Like, I hope if you're a Tyson Fury fan out there, you are upset. And if you're not, fuck you too, honestly. Like, this is so bad in so many ways that I struggle to find all of the ways we can shit on it because there are too many. Like, I lose track of all the different angles we can shit on this matchup. But Fu, I'm gonna let you jump in here, tag team it. Pause. But Fury Schwarz, are you hyped? Well, Fight of the century, you ready?
I am definitely not hyped. I am Phil though.
That's
man.
stupid. Use your common sense.
Come on, Bob.
You know, I'm really tired of like fighters shitting on other fighters' resumes and then taking these type of fights. You know, like he's 28 fights in, I think is what it's saying here. What does his resume look like, Fury?
Oh, Fury?
Like, let's be real.
Oh, you want to have that? You want to have that discussion now?
I mean, for real. Like, I'm not trying to piss off a bunch of Fury fans here, but let's be real. Calling AJ a dosser, fucking talking shit about Deontay Wilder, and the media super complicit in this. They're out there talking like, oh, it's a great opponent. He's 24-0. He's got the right dimensions to beat. Get the fuck out of here. Got the right dimensions. Wait, he's tall? Yeah, like, fuck off. This is just bullshit.
Look, Tyson Fury, obviously, he has beaten the great Vladimir Klitschko in one of the worst fights ever.
Yeah.
So that means a lot right now in 2019 when that happened in 2015. He beat Christian Hammer. Wasn't that amazing, guys? He beat Derek Chisora multiple times. I mean, Chisora beat Takam, so Usyk is fighting somebody that like lost to somebody that Fury beat. Boxing math, hello, logic.
Hello.
Facts don't care about your feelings, guys. And obviously he beat Deontay Wilder, air quote. He beat Deontay Wilder, who also his detractors say is the worst boxer and a fraud. So, you know, kind of having your cake and eating it too, right, guys? But
so Fury and Wilder share the same thing. On their resume, they're the best people they've fought, and they both ended in a draw. So they don't have a win over each other. They have a draw. To me, it's ridiculous, man. Like, Tyson Fury, we thought we were going to get a shit fight like Rivas. We thought we were going to get Rivas in there. But, like, I think... Yes. Right?
I am begging for an Oscar Rivas fight instead of Tom Schwarz.
But I want to say, was it...
And I want to add just to that very quickly. That's Bob Arum's trick. Like, that is fundamentally his trick. He sells you complete, utter dog shit, so when you get just mild dog shit, you don't care as much. And you actually, like, will be hyped on it.
It's fucking ridiculous, man. And, like... So I think it was Standing 8, or it might have been Unrivaled, that said like they wouldn't put him in with Rivas because Rivas would beat him. And I'm like, I kind of believe that now. I'm wondering if like,
stop.
Like, no, I'm serious. Like, do they think like at least he has a better chance and they need Fury to be winning because they've offered him all this money? And how the fuck are you going to build your name off of Schwarz in the U.S.? Who the fuck knows this guy? Let's be real. Mikey Garcia just took a fight he shouldn't have fought, but Spence and Garcia's built some brand out of that fight. They've built some, right?
Time out. Any of the matchups we talked about with those, like the Canelo Khans, the Spence Garcias, the Loma Rigos, like all of those matchups, which I absolutely hate, they are 1,010% better than Fury versus Schwarz.
Yeah. And you can't say your reason for not going immediately with the rematch is you're trying to build your name in a new country and then take this fight.
Fight a German guy who's never fought in the U.S., who is not known at all, and you're going to fight him on ESPN Plus, and you're going to pay Fury upwards of $20 million. Okay. Have fun with that, ESPN and Bob. Have fun with that.
That's brutal. And the heavyweight division is now grinded to some really silly fucking halt when it was on an all-time high after like 2018. So, good job, guys.
We were so close, guys, to getting Wilder Fury 2 in May, right? Like just having it over with, right? Joshua Miller was always going to happen, I think, and that's a really good matchup. I will not shit on that matchup at all. I think I've always been high on that matchup. Usyk fighting Takam. Like if we have had that, and maybe a Klitschko coming back and fighting Shannon Briggs, which has sort of been rumored around. There's been echoes of it in the boxing Twitter sphere. I think heavyweight would be on point for 2019. It would be all signs a go for the division. Right now, like you said, it's at a dead still. We're waiting for these side fights that don't matter, that have no relevance to the division, other than maybe the Miller fight, and are entirely unnecessary. So it's just sad, man. It's sad. It really is. And also, they can't fall back on, let's say, like what PBC is doing with their welterweight division, right? Like Spence, Manny Pacquiao, Thurman, Porter, those are all legit names. Those are all legit brands. Those are all interesting matchups, however you pair them. And that, I would say, is putting the welterweight division on hold in a way because you have Crawford now in the mix, right? Yep. But that is still, like I said, 1,000 times better than what is currently happening in the heavyweight division because none of the top guys are fighting each other at all, period. And the best fight out there is Joshua fighting a borderline top 10 guy. That's the best fight in the heavyweight division right now. That's sad. That innately is not good for the division or the sport, especially when the division, the heavyweight division in particular, has been pushing the sport on this trajectory we're on. I don't think people really realize that in particular is that all these heavyweight fighters that we talk about day in and day out that pull all these numbers, they're the reason why DAZN is throwing out this money. They're the reason ESPN is throwing out this money. It's not because of the welterweights. It's not because of Tanaka. It's not because of Jason Madaleno or Pulev or Charlie Edwards or Brandon Rios or wherever you want to fucking think of. It's because of Wilder, AJ, and Fury. I will probably die on that hill arguing that those three names are probably the biggest reason we have this expansion of network deals. It's those three names. No one else. It's those guys. And none of them are on the path to fight each other in the near future. None of them.
Yep.
That's an issue. It's a very big issue for the sport, guys. Any other points or rant we want to do about Tyson Fury being a complete dosser and fuckhead?
No, I mean, it's just another moment where if you're an AJ stan, you have a talking point. He, again, is the only person fighting top 10 heavyweights. The only person. Now, obviously, look, I'm not going to shit on Wilder for fighting a mandatory. You have to fight your mandatories. But Fury doesn't have a mandatory. Give up on fucking every talking point being the lineal fucking champion.
He doesn't have a belt.
Off.
He doesn't have a belt.
No.
And also, he beat the man that never beat the man.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times we need to state this for the lineal crowd to get it through their fucking heads, is that when Lennox Lewis retired, the lineal championship stopped. And even before that, it had stopped several times in the heavyweight lineage. The heavyweight division does not go back all the way to Jack Johnson, Joe Louis, or even Muhammad Ali. You can't trace the lineage back. It stops. There are breaks in it. So the lineal title is largely a made-up concept that is used to sell fights and to connect fighters with past legends of decades ago that they aren't actually connected to in any straight linear path.
It's a feel-good. It's a feel-good talking point for boxing fans, too, because we want to say, hey, this guy's the man. And then someone beats the man, and it's like, oh, okay, now we got a new man. Let's see how he does. How long does he hold it? And, like, look, Klitschko was the fucking man when he got beat by Fury. I understand that.
No one is debating that.
Yeah.
But
I'm not saying he's not the lineal champion. That's not my talking point. Well, my talking point is quit fucking. It's every conversation. Now he gets away with this shit fight because, like, well, he's the lineal champion. I mean, let's give him a break. I don't want to give him a break. I wanted him. He could have fought Alexander Povetkin. He doesn't have a fight. He could have fought Joseph Parker. He doesn't have a fight. He could have fought Oscar Rivas. He doesn't have a fight. There's 3 people in the top 10 he could have made a fight with. They didn't because they're fucking doing the same bullshit that Bob does with giving people these mediocre fucking trash fights. Not even mediocre. I'm sorry. This is trash. And the problem with Fury, he's going to look like shit in this fight because it's not a good fight. And he plays to the level of his competition. It's not the other way around.
And also, guys, like the whole who's the man is still a pretty fucking subjective thing, guys. Like honestly, like when Fury beat Klitschko, does that now give him carte blanche to be the man till he gets beat? Or if he doesn't fight people, does that the man status get kind of revoked because he's not fighting anyone? That's why I think a lot of people think AJ is the number 1 guy in the division. He then went on to beat Klitschko in a better fight, more decisive fashion. On top of that, he has faced better names, has a better resume, has actually been doing stuff when you haven't been doing it, Fury. So how can you still walk around like you're the man when your best fight since you beat Klitschko was last year against Wilder and you didn't beat him?
It's like LeBron James going to like fucking China and playing in a basketball league and going, I score 75 or 100 points a game. It's like, okay, so who cares? I don't care. Like, I don't care if you knock this guy out in 3 fucking rounds.
I'll put it this way. LeBron, to make it a better of a comparison, LeBron going and putting 100 points per game in a Chinese basketball league does not make him NBA MVP. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, those two don't correlate. So Tyson Fury fighting Safari, Pineta, and now Tom Schwarz and having a draw with Wilder does not mean he is still the man. I am sorry, guys. I think, and on top of that, Klitschko beat fucking Shigaya for being the man, guys. Come on. Keep it 100 here. Heavyweight sucked since 2004, 2005 till now. So we don't have to pretend, guys. We really don't have to. We don't have to cater and bow to the Klitschko brothers and the HBO or Bob Arum hype machine that was trying to make them good at one point or another. We don't need to do that, guys. We're good. We're good.
And the man is the guy who consistently steps up and gives fights to the top fighters. And let's be real, in the heavyweight division, it's AJ right now.
Yep.
It's AJ right now. Because we have to see what Wilder does after the Mando. If he goes and like rematches Ortiz, really puts himself out there, I don't even think that's like the greatest test. But let's see what he does. Does he go for Dillian White? Does he go for some of these other names that could really test him? Or is it going to be kind of the same shit? Because if it is, again, they're killing the division that is the reason all the investments being made. Like all these other guys are making money off of the heavyweights. So please don't kill boxing with this bullshit. Let's make some of these good fights. We need it. And like, I agree with McTreasure saying it's the media's fault. It really is, because the media needs access to these guys to boost their channels and to boost their views. And they don't ever keep it 100 when shit like this happens. People are trying to find a way to make this fight sound interesting, and that's bullshit. Steve Kim is not going to shit on this because he's an ESPN guy. And if this was AJ, let's put it this way.
Or
if
Wilder.
AJ came out or Wilder came out and said, we're going to fight Tom Schwarz from fucking Germany, who's 24-0, and he's some world beater, everyone would be like, these guys are fucking trash.
Well, think about this. Wilder's fighting a legit top 15 heavyweight as a mandatory, and he's getting trashed for it. Just for the matchup. Regardless of the $100 million deal, he's getting trashed just for the matchup. which I think is pretty ridiculous to trash him for. I want everyone to keep it the same energy. Or if you're keeping the same energy, you got to double that energy for Fury Schwarz. It is the worst fight to be announced in recent memory. I'll be honest.
And if you didn't shit on Spence for the Ocampo mandatory, you can't shit on people for mandatories.
No, you can't.
You can, but you shouldn't.
You can't shit on the people. Shit on the sanctioning body.
Sure.
That's how you do it. Because the fighter's not the one that makes the mandatory. Spence didn't pick Ocampo to be his mandatory. The IBF did. So same with WBC and Dominic Brazil. If you're out there upset that Dominic Brazil is the matchup in mandatory, don't be upset at Deontay Wilder. He's not the one that did that. It's the WBC. Be mad at them. But anyway,
Quincy, you can't be real. Why is this a bad fight? You can't think this is a good fight.
No, just call in. Explain to us why it's a good fight. It's very simple. Just do that. If you can, I will give you a free shirt, of MCR shirt. Fuck it. Gary's out there saying I still want mine. It's okay, Gary. You're gonna get yours eventually. Let's move on though, because I don't want to talk about fucking Tyson Fury being a disappointment anymore. Jarrett Hurd, speaking of not being a disappointment, I love this matchup and this card right now that's been announced for Fox. Jarrett Hurd versus J. Rock Williams is official, and the co-main is Matt Korobov versus Emmanuel Alim. I love this doubleheader. I know I've been sort of critical of the Fox main events and really the level of fights they put on, but I think that's just honestly a product of PBC not having a stable like the UFC and being able to put on the amount of main events that we think about for a Fox card. I think that's just a fundamental issue for PBC is they only have 130 fighters, and only so many of those are really main event calibers for Fox. But digressing, Hurd Williams, a fantastic fight. Fantastic in-between fight while Tony Harrison and Jamel Charlo rematch. On top of that, I love the Matt Korobov Emmanuel Alim fight. Alim is a guy that was close to getting some hype, and obviously he lost, I think, against Centeno in a brutal knockout. Korobov coming off a very controversial decision against Jamal Charlo. I think it makes sense for just everyone involved with this doubleheader. And plus, I think both matchups are even fun fights with relevance in their respective divisions and for these respective parties. Love this card. Fu, your thoughts on this Fox doubleheader?
This is going to be a great card. And I think we talked about this, right? How I could really see Korobov becoming some kind of a player at this weight class.
You are more of the mindset of that than I am. Yes,
Yeah. I mean, he's very talented. Some people think he beat Charlo. I mean, it was a damn good fight for Charlo, especially for Korobov taking it on short notice and a bunch of stuff. So I want to see how he plays in this weight class. Hurt's probably my favorite fighter. I mean, when
he's up
you
there.
Look at, this guy is absolutely what boxing media, boxing fans should be touting as what we want from this sport. Jarrett Hurd fights everyone. He tests himself all the time. He doesn't back down from anything. This is the guy that you want to be the face of boxing. He doesn't fuck around with any bullshit. He trusts himself. He knows he's good, and he puts himself in there with the right people.
Plus, talk about an all-action fighter. I can't think of a single Jarrett Hurd fight that has not been entertaining. His style is made for Fox in a way. I think he is going to really excel as a Fox guy with that audience size potentially. I think he's one of those guys just because of his style, because of his entertainment value, that let's say he main events this fight and then he fights the Jamel Charlo, Tony Harrison winner on Fox, right? Let's say Charlo versus Hurd, main event on Fox with some push behind it. That might be a star-making performance for Jarrett Hurd, honestly. And I said this on Twitter maybe a couple days ago. I am of a really firm belief that Jarrett Hurd versus Canelo will one day be the big fight we talk about. That would be on par with a Spence Crawford, a AJ Wilder in terms of the boxing hardcores wanting it, like that desperation of that fight, that we need it, that we're constantly asking for, and we're always upset with when we don't get it. I think when Hurd moves up to 160 and starts clearing out maybe Jamal Charlo, William Monroe, the PBC side of it, people are going to be clamoring for him to fight Canelo. I know it. And that would be a moneymaker of a fight. Give me that fight in 3 years' time, please.
I am 100% sure that H Money is a troll, because if you think Munguia has better footwork than Hurd, you are fucking blind. You are blind. There's so many good storylines with Hurd, because think about it. If Jermell and Hurd fight and he beats him and then moves up,
he's going to be the Charlo killer, guys. Like,
oh my God. And that is such a good story. Like, it's like he beats Jermell, he moves up to 160, he fights Jamal, like, then the Canelo fights there, the Triple G fights there. Like, this guy is positioned and has like spent his time at 154 doing work to go into 160 and then potentially 168 and really be probably one of the best we've ever seen in terms of just, the guy is phenomenal to watch. Well, I mean, I'm just guessing you're a troll if you think Munguia has better footwork than Hurd, because that's hilarious.
Or
to me.
you need to watch them fight more, because I mean, it's like they're both like the same style. That's the thing. It's like it would be like saying like, hey, Sean Porter and like Carlos Takam, or Sean Porter has like way better footwork than Carlos Takam. It's like, okay, but they're kind of the same fighter. You know, they're inside workers. They're kind of aggressive volume guys. That's what they do. You don't really look at them for Terrence Crawford, Oleksandr Usyk, Lomachenko style footwork. That's not what they do at all. So just it's a weird comparison, right? It's like saying, I don't know. It's like saying like Chavez Jr. has better footwork than Triple G. It's like, okay, odd.
Munguia just went life and death with Inouye, right?
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
I wouldn't say life or death.
Jared Hurd would end that guy. You know, like,
yeah.
The problem with Munguia is he doesn't have the footwork to position himself great for counters. He has really good power, and he's a tough kid. That's what he has going for him. Jared Hurd is the entire fucking toolbox of boxing. So it's comical to even.
Damn. You're really high on Jared Hurd. Is Jared Hurd in your pound for pound?
Absolutely.
And not
absolutely.
And not Earl Spence.
Top 5.
And not Earl,
top 5.
And not Earl Spence.
Earl's in there now. You guys won me over.
Oh, we did.
Like you guys won me over.
We actually won you over, not like just like for the argument's sake. Like we actually like convinced you. Like, no, Spence, you guys are right.
I went back and thought, and I was like, look, I would be working too hard. Jared Hurd's basic. This guy. Yeah, call in, brother. That's fine. I went back and thought, I'm working too hard to put people above him, and that means it's just me hating. So,
yeah. When you have to like really work to hate on someone, probably means your hate's a little bit unfounded. But let's move on, and for the sake of time, let's take a call actually, because McGregor is not McGregor. I apologize. Unrivaled Box Talking News. It's just that your Skype name says McGregor. I do apologize. Let's go to him right now. I know he's in the UK. Or actually in Ireland. I also apologize again. Shit, he's gonna be really mad at me. I can already tell, right? Like he's gonna come in here with a one-liner. I can tell. Anyways, Unrivaled Box Talking News. We're gonna go to you now on the Skype machine. Add Mixed Comment Radio on Skype if you want to call it internationally, or 323-870-4051 if you want to call in domestically. But Unrivaled, what is up?
Yeah. You need to trim your eyebrows, mate.
I need to trim my eyebrows.
There you go. Nah, it doesn't matter. You can call me McGregor if you want, man. It doesn't really matter. I've never said don't call me it.
You did yell at me at that one time. I felt like
I didn't yell at you. You asked what it was about, so I explained what it was about.
Okay. Anyways, Unrivaled, how you doing?
I'm not bad. Let's see. The first thing I'd like to say is I actually want to say thank you to Lamont Peterson just for a decent career. wasn't a bad career. He gave us a bit of entertainment through the years. So that's the first thing I'd like to say. Second thing I'd like to say is that Usyk versus Takam on May 18th/17th, whichever it is. That's an amazing weekend of boxing, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's an amazing weekend. I mean, we've got a world heavyweight title fight in Wilder Brazil. It's a mandatory fight one way or another. Usyk versus Takam. We've got the World Boxing Super Series with Inoue Rodriguez and what's the other one? Taylor against Baranchik, which that's looking like it's fight of the weekend, that one. Then also announced with Billy Joe Saunders is going to be fighting as well against She's Fa.
Whatever the dude, yep. Whatever the person's name is, yep.
Yeah.
Isufidi or something? I don't know.
Isufidi. At Stevenage Stadium, so Saunders is returning. It's all not too bad. Yeah, Fury versus Tom Schwarz. Sign me up, guys. I wanna buy that. I wanna pay money to see that. I wanna go to Las Vegas. You know, I'm gonna fly out to Vegas just to see Tom Schwarz. Like, I've always wanted to see Tom Schwarz, but you know, a guy whose best win is a disqualification against a guy who's terrible, who he was getting beat up against, you know?
Yeah.
Yep. Hashtag boxing.
Yeah. Sanagashi. Like,
but he's 6'6", though. I mean, so.
And also, I want to point out, Gashi, the guy that you're talking about that he quote air quote beat, he's fighting Chisora, right, on the Matchroom card.
He is.
Yep.
He is indeed.
Yep.
But Gashi's also a guy who, if I recall correctly, lost to Chisora not too long ago. Not Chisora, Takam. I think it was.
I think you're right. I think it was Takam.
I think he actually got stopped by Takam, if I'm not mistaken, and that was in December. So that was Takam coming off of his knockout defeat to Derek Chisora in July. He came back and then he stopped Senate Gashi. And now Senegashi's going to be fighting Chisora. And Senegashi was beating the shit out of Tom Schwarz. So that should sum up how good this is. And you guys brought up the lineal line and gaps and everything and all of this bullshit. Can I kind of go in on that for a second?
Sure.
Because I've been pissed about the lineal line for a very long time. Tyson Fury says he's the man who beat the man, going all the way back to John O'Sullivan. And you're right. Yeah, you're right. There is gaps in that lineal line, right? Because first of all, you're the man who beat Shagoyev, right?
Yes.
And then the Lewis line, that went back all the way to Floyd Patterson. That's a very long line. That's a 44-year line, I believe. Maybe longer. 48. That would have started in about 56, yeah. So that was a 48-year line all the way up until 2004. Because Patterson, after Marciano retired, Patterson, he went on, I believe it was, to beat Archie Moore, which is fair enough. Like, you beat Archie Moore, you guys are the best at the time. And then he went on and he lost to Johansson. But before that, the previous line started again with Schmeling. And Schmeling became the first guy to win the World Heavyweight Championship via disqualification against Sharkey. He won it via disqualification. And the line before that was the John L. Sullivan line, which retired with Gene Tunney. So, in essence, if you're the guy who beat the guy all the way back to John L. Sullivan, it's impossible because Gene Tunney retired undefeated at heavyweight. And then the next line, so did Marciano. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's all a lot of bollocks. At the end of the day, the word lineal didn't actually come into fruition until 1947, and it was done via Ring magazine. I believe it was in their 22nd issue when they started mentioning the man who beat the man, going all the way back. And that was 1947. And they mentioned that during the Joe Louis reign, when Joe Louis at that time had just become a 10-year reigning world champion. So it was from that point forward they mentioned the man who beat the man. So it was Ring magazine who started that, which was media hyping up divisions and hyping up fighters. So it's all a media thing anyway. Lineage never meant anything. It was never a real thing. Gene Tunney never knew what it was. Dempsey never knew what it was. Schmeling never knew what it was. Even Joe Louis didn't know about it until about 10 years after he retired. But Tyson Fury's going to go and claim it as though it's some type of great belt when none of those guys even knew what it was. They just thought they were the world champion, which is what they were because they held the world championship. You know, because all of them had something in common, and it wasn't lineage. They were all considered the undisputed heavyweight champion. And that's where lineage is. It's really undisputed. There isn't another world champion. None of those guys, there was not another world champion out there when they had the belt.
Mm-hmm.
They were the champion. That was it. And then it was the same thing with Ali. Ali was undisputed. Frazier was undisputed. Foreman was undisputed. Tyson was undisputed. All these guys, it's not lineage that they have in common. It's undisputed. And then it fucking changed when the governing bodies changed all the fucking nonsense. But long story short is Tyson Fury's going to go in there and out-jab a shit Jeremy kid, who's probably not even good enough to win the European title from Magic Caballero. Am I wrong in saying that?
No, you're absolutely right.
No,
I think
agree.
Magic Caballero just dance circles around him. Which tells you he's not even the best fighter in his own damn fucking country.
No, he's
it's
like,
not like his country's England where there's a Joshua walking around. It's Germany.
I think he's like 7th in Germany too. Like he's not even top 5.
But second in the WBO.
I think he's like 2nd or 3rd in Germany. 7th? Come on.
He's 2nd in the WBO.
Yeah, man. Hey, you know how it is.
This tells you how shit
Anthony
those bodies
is number
are.
1 in the WBO, Phil.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I'm laughing at that, you know? It's so
I think
fucking
it's funny
like
that Tom Schwarz is ranked ahead of anybody in the WBO. I mean, but then again, Otto Wallen is in places like Frezakendo in the WBA is like ranked highly as well. Like, you never know. Sanctioning bodies are sanctioning bodies. I mean, Lovejoy was number 10 in the WBA there for a while as well, wasn't he? Christian Lovejoy,
yep.
South African guy whose best opponent was what 4-26, I think it was.
Yep.
So, what else? So Usyk's going to be fighting Takam. That's brilliant.
I agree.
That's like actually fantastic. Like, long story short is he's coming in to the heavyweight division. He's a cruiserweight coming up. He is kind of a bit of a heavyweight. He's like 6'3", and he's a big lad, and he proved himself in the World Series of Boxing. He's a very good fighter. Carlos Takam, he's coming off of a victory, not a loss. That's actually the good news, a stoppage victory. So it gives him some credibility against a guy who's going to be fighting against the guy who knocked him out. So he's going up against somebody who's credible, who's took Povetkin into deep waters, was actually destroying Derek Chisora, busted up Anthony Joshua's nose, in many people's cases shouldn't have been stopped in that fight. In a lot of people's opinions, was given Joshua I'd say one of his tougher defenses, actually. All in all, it was one of his tougher fights. So Carlos Takam ain't a bad fighter at all. He's a top 20 heavyweight, legitimate 20. I'm not talking about like rankings, but if you wrote down a list of 20 heavyweights, you'd be struggling to name 20 better than him.
Yep.
So going in there, you beat him. Like, people are praising Michael Hunter at the moment. Carlos Takam's a hell of a lot better than Martin Bakole and fucking Ustinov. Hell of a lot better. So I can only give the man credit. What else is there? What else is there to talk about? Edwards versus Moreno,
yes.
right?
The fight
Edwards versus Moreno. Charlie Edwards had a good defense. Moreno's terrible. That guy just can't box. He was running forward and throwing his arms left and right like they were flailing limbs falling off of an octopus. I don't know what he was doing. I have no clue what he was doing. But there you go. Edwards has a solid defense. I feel like they're going to move him up to 115 and he's going to be fighting against Kalya Foy. I think that's what they're going to do. They're going to like feed him to Yafoy, because you know they're not going to put Yafoy in there with Roman Gonzalez or Estrada or fucking, heaven forbid he gets into the ring with Sersket. He gets killed. But there you go. I'm trying to think what else happened. Oh yeah, sexual harassment on the weekend. Absolutely fantastic. Kubra Pulev pulling a girl into him, giving her a kiss on the lips. I know that he's done that about 10 times in Bulgaria and it's never been a problem, but mate, you're going to America. People are oversensitive over there. Calm it down. Right? That's what people are saying on Twitter. Not me. People are saying that on Twitter. At the end of the day, you don't fucking grab a hold of a woman and kiss her if she doesn't want you to. And no offense, Kubrat Pulev's an ugly motherfucker. Not many women want to be kissed by Kubrat Pulev. I don't think. Especially when he actually got fucked up a little bit by Bogdan Dinu, who doesn't do him any credibility. And then I know he destroyed him, but that doesn't matter. But he had a good win. Not a good win in terms of name credibility. His performance, the way he like came over adversity and started fucking the guy up was alright. Wasn't too bad. I'm okay with it. But I'm not okay with what happened afterwards. Go fuck yourself, mate. You guys said that the best heavyweight fight that's like being made or whatever. I disagree. I don't think Joshua versus Miller is the most competitive fight of the year. I think it's pretty one-sided, but it's still a decent fight. I personally think Dave Allen and Lucas Brown, as much as I hate the fight, is actually the most competitive fight I've thought about this year, because I can't pick a winner because I can see it going both ways, which sounds stupid as fuck to think. Really can see that fight going two ways, as bad of a fight as it is. It's not a good fight, but it's competitive.
I see your point. No, I definitely see your point. I'll put it this way.
I think we were talking about just in that top three guys, right?
No.
Oh, the upper echelon. The upper echelon. I know what you're talking about. The legit fights.
Yeah. I think Joshua Miller is a more respectable matchup, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm phrasing it the right way of what I'm trying to mean here. Is
no, I know what you're talking about.
But you're right that
it's much more of a credible fight in terms of high standard of boxing.
Yes.
That's what you're talking about.
While Dave Allen and Lucas Brown, you are completely right. It's probably going to be the more competitive fight when it comes to just in-ring action. Both guys going back and forth potentially. Both guys having success in there. Miller and AJ is potentially more of one-way traffic. You're absolutely right about that.
Well,
it could be. It could be one of the biggest tests of Anthony Joshua's career. It could be. Because this is a 300 man who throws a lot of punches, and he's going to be on top of him, who's arguably just as strong as he is. Not as good punching, but just as strong. Because when Miller pushed him, I don't care if AJ wasn't ready for it or not, he threw him like a rag doll. He's strong.
Yeah.
One way or another, he's a strong man. And he is 310 pounds, and he eats well.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of once a guy like AJ or Wilder or Fury they hit that upper echelon, I feel like your obligation is to give those guys in the top 10 a shot at what you have. That's like the whole point of the ranking system, you know? So you just don't go fight a bunch of bullshit people to keep your title or keep your O. So that's where I'm coming from with that, is like Joshua seems to consistently take a fight where you could see him having some struggles. I mean, people thought Povetkin was going to beat Joshua. Man,
no one really thought that. No one really thought that.
I didn't think he was going to beat him, but I thought it was a good fight.
Yeah.
Just like I think this is a good fight. Just like I thought when he was going to fight Pulev and Pulev pulled out, it was going to be a good fight in terms of it would be Pulev, I believe, could out jab Joshua. I think he gets knocked out, like clean the fuck out, but still, I think he can jab with Joshua better than most guys.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think it's a super competitive fight. I think AJ will win it pretty decisively, but there are some things there that make me interested in it. Like you said, the size and strength of Miller is going to be a test, and the output. Right there too.
It could be it could actually be a dangerous fight, because as we've all been saying, I think everybody's saying this. If Miller turns out to be a guy with a chin of granite, this could be very dangerous.
Agreed.
Just because one thing, the biggest question mark on Joshua, you see, we're questioning Miller's chin. Joshua's gas tank. How are you going to cope with a 310-pound man trying to have sex with you in the ring?
That's a visualization I did not want to have tonight.
You can enjoy that visual. It was just for you. Now, as the heavyweight landscape pans out, right? Everybody's saying eventually it'll all clear up. I want to say this little thing. We've been saying that for 18 years. No, 15 years. Since 2004, after Lewis. We never had a distinct during the Klitschko reign who's the number one because Vlad and Vitaly never fought. During this era, we've had a draw of Fury and Wilder. And if we're being completely honest, I don't give a shit about this whole the man concept is. The only way I'll know who the man truly is when they all fight each other, if they do. Otherwise, it's just going to be a shit era of boxing. Because if Joshua doesn't fight Wilder, Joshua doesn't fight Fury, if Fury doesn't rematch Wilder, if Wilder doesn't get in there with Joshua, if Dillian White doesn't get in there, if Usyk isn't competitive in it, it doesn't matter. That's the truth. We're just going to be looking at a whole lot of guys with a fuckload of defenses.
Yeah.
That we're not happy with. And that's what it looks more likely to happen. Because to me, if 100 million can't make a fight happen and undisputed, I don't even think it's about money anymore, or it's about undisputed, or it's about anything. It's just about fucking ego. And that's a problem, because one of these guys is showing that he has an ego that's way too high. The other one's showing that he's getting a bit oversensitive to criticism, and that's Joshua. Because when people were saying like he can't do anything because of Eddie, if you remember the press conference with Miller, he was like telling Eddie, nah, let the people talk. I'm ready for more questions. And when Eddie tried to wrap it up again, he kept stopping. You could tell he was a bit oversensitive. That he was pissed off about people saying that he was just a puppet for matching. So you can tell that that's getting to him. Wilder feels probably the same way, and he's an ego-driven moron, and he's saying that I don't want to work with Eddie Hearn, and that's why he's not taking the fight. Fact is, we all work with people we don't want to. I can't imagine Matt waking up every day and saying, oh, good, I get to talk to Rob for 6 hours on a daily basis. Like, I'm not saying you don't like him. I'm just saying, or even Phil. The truth is, I go to work, and I don't like anybody I work with. Huh?
They love me, bro. They love me.
Yeah, I will agree. Like, Fu is far easier to work with than Rob. Rob's a pain in the ass.
Rob's a diva.
He's a diva.
Damn, boys. Come on, he can't even defend himself.
Oh, I'd say it to his face. I said it to his face before that he's a diva. And I'll say it to him again. I've no problem doing that. Any man who's a gardener who talks about boxing most of his days has to be somewhat of a diva. I mean, at the end of the day, we all are, aren't we? We all have like bitchy moments.
That is true.
We definitely do. That's for sure. Yes. Rob is like, probably the easiest going person though that I've really met.
Nah,
he
stop.
can get in a tizzy about stuff.
Nah, stop. Come on, group chat. Rob is a pain in the ass. He's not here. You don't have to lie, Foo. Okay. Mitty is the easiest one to deal with, and then it's you, and then me. No, actually, me and Rob are tied. Okay, we're both massive pain in the asses.
Just the honest truth. Rob is automatically easier to deal with than Matt because Matt's passive aggressive and Rob isn't. Rob's just.
That's probably true. That's probably true. I will agree with that. Anything else unrivaled?
Yeah, one last thing. Pound for pound number one. I just want to say it right now. Is Jarrah Horde.
Yes.
And anybody who disagrees with me, you can go fuck yourself because people have Errol Spence at number 4.
Yeah. I could live with Hurd being number 1 for sure.
No,
for sure.
no, stop.
I could live with that.
No, you can't.
Yeah. Crawford is my number 1, but look, it's subjective. I mean,
anyways, we're going to move on. Let's see if we have any callers on our blog talk line. I would assume so. Yes, we do. Yes, we're going to go to Gary in Dallas. Gary, is that you?
Yeah.
It's been so long.
Clock not working?
No, you're here. I see you. It's just been a long time, man. Like
Okay.
I miss you, man. How you doing?
Yeah, I thought you guys retired. I thought you gave
Given our 2 weeks notice.
Yeah. I want to come after Fugatti. First off, Tyson
Do
Fury
it.
is the lineal heavyweight champion of the world. The man who beat the man, going back to Jack Dempsey. Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua are title holders. They're belt holders. Tyson Fury is the heavyweight champ of the world. And you're going to get on him for fighting Schwarz. But you're in love with Anthony Joshua, who's fighting Big Baby Miller. Who's the best name on Big Baby Miller's resume? Dino Bogdan?
Gerald Washington.
That guy?
Gerald Washington, come on, man. The disrespect.
Come on, Gary. You can't really be making this argument for Fury here.
No, I'm not making an argument. I'm just pointing out your hypocrisy. You love Anthony Joshua, who's Gerald Miller, who I like, who's beaten nobody.
Wait. Are you trying to make a 1-to-1 analog of Big Baby Miller and Tom Schwarz? Please tell me you're not trying to do that.
Look, you can't. Who has?
This guy is 42 in the world, 5 in Germany. He's not even the best boxer in Germany.
This is the best trolling I've ever seen on the show, Gary. Kudos to you, man. Kudos to you.
My point was, you know I like Gerald Miller, and I love that fight, right? But Gerald Miller has done absolutely nothing to deserve a shot at Anthony Joshua.
He's done, I'll put it this way, he's done exponentially more than Tom Schwarz.
Which is why it's obvious that a lineal belt is
bullshit.
There's
nothing. There's not even a name I recognize on his resume.
No.
There was one I felt like I may have known, but yeah. But look, okay. Gerald Big Baby Miller has done nothing to earn a shot at the heavyweight championship of the world. I mean, that's true. You know what I'm saying? If Gerald Miller wasn't 315 pounds, if he wasn't a great talker, he would not be getting this fight.
Gary, Unrivaled, who just called in, is asking you, do you think Schwarz would beat Washington or Walk? Any of them?
I can't make any comment on Schwarz. I have never seen him fight. Just because I haven't seen him doesn't mean he's not good.
No. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point to make. This guy could be better than we think, right? But I've watched a few of his fights, and I don't see anything there that's like, this is the guy Fury should be fighting. And keep in mind, some of my hostility is that Fury said he was not taking the Wilder fight because they wanted to grow his name in the U.S. How is this helping with that? That's my point.
It's obviously not. And Top Rank has nothing to offer him, right? They were trying to build up a Fury Pulev fight. Real quick, I was watching the Pulev fight on the plane, on the little monitors on the plane. And my flight landed in the 5th round when he got that nasty cut. What happened? Pulev sexually harassed who? What?
Man, he was there's like a girl who does like, it's called like Naked Sushi or something on Instagram, and she does some interviews for boxing, and they ended the interview, and then he just grabbed her and kissed her right on the lips, and then she was like she did the really, really defensive girl, like laugh because this is super awkward, but you're a gigantic guy and nobody's here to defend me type moment. And it was just total shit,
wow.
Man. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I actually don't want to see that. Okay, I didn't take full effort for.
And worse, Gary, worse.
A little rapey. Yeah.
Yeah, and worse, there's all these males who everyone should shit on Twitter saying, oh, I love it because it's so not PC. This actually makes me like him more because he's not PC. Guys, it's not PC. It's a matter of not being a fucking rapist weirdo.
It's a matter of not being a little rapey. Yeah, that's not a PC thing. PC is coming on and speaking your mind and telling the truth even if it's unpopular. PC is not raping someone. That's not a PC
Such
issue.
Bullshit.
Yeah. I had no idea that happened.
Yo, but hey, Pulev is alpha as fuck, bro. Okay.
Yeah.
So like, dude, you have to like Pulev because he's so anti-PC, and like fuck the SJW libtards, man. Because like Pulev just like kisses girls and he doesn't care. Dude.
Yeah, beta males just finish an interview and like
Sore boy.
give a handshake or something, you know.
Yeah.
But
because
alpha males.
You know why they do handshakes? Because they have too much soy in them. Ha ha.
Yeah. Too much soy in them.
Fucking weirdos.
Yeah. It's not an alpha male thing to be rapey with a female. Yeah, that's not an alpha male characteristic. Rapey that's not a good trait by any measure. That's all.
Yeah.
What was it? Oh, Jarrett Hurd. I love Jarrett Hurd.
Yes.
Jarrett Hurd is one of my new favorite fighters. Jarrett Hurd will fight anyone, right? Jarrett Hurd is an animal. I love Hurd. He don't care. He'll fight anybody. He's not a top 5 pound-for-pound guy. The top 5 pound-for-pound guys, in whatever order you want to put it, is Crawford, Loma, Inoue, Usyk, and Canelo. Those are the top 5 guys. You can't put Hurd in over any of those guys. I know it's a subjective list, but like saying,
I don't think Fu was serious.
I don't know.
I don't think Fu was serious, guys.
Was serious. It's top 5.
No, I know everyone's been reacting about that on like the chat, but I don't think Fu was serious at all, saying that Hurd was top 5 pound for pound, guys. I really want to make that clear.
He can be wherever you want him to be, though, guys.
It's okay.
It's your sport. You can be a fan and like who you want. Okay?
No, you can't. It's like who we like.
You can like who you want. You can like who you want, right? But if I said, who was that center the Lakers signed to that huge contract a couple of years ago? The big Russian dude.
Oh, Zubak. Zubak.
Yeah. I said he's better than Anthony Davis. That's subjective, but you're certainly wrong. Right? Like, you know, like, you know what I'm saying? Yes, a pound-for-pound list is subjective, and there are certain things that are just wrong. And I love Jarrett Hurd, but you can't put Jarrett Hurd over any of those guys.
He's definitely top 10.
No, he's not. Stop.
What are you talking about?
Fu with the troll. Stop. Stop it.
Man, Hurd is definitely in my top 10. You guys are crazy if you don't have Hurd in your top 10.
I don't think Hurd's in my top 10.
He's around. I mean, you
Top
start to
15.
get around 10. Leo Santa Cruz, Miguel Pachel. You start looking at those guys.
You got Sirikat Sor Rungsvi. You got Sirikat Sor Rungsvi in there. You have Earl Spence. Like you have some guys that are going to push Hurd out there right now.
Man,
you can make a case he's in the top 10. I think you can make a good case he's in the top 10, but you can't put him ahead of any of those 5 guys that I mentioned.
You can't say it's for sure or definite. You can't say he's definitely top 10. You can't say that. Like we can say Crawford is definitely top 10. Right? Like we can say Lomachenko is definitely top 10. Canelo definitely top 10. That's a pretty easy statement to say. But Jarrett Hurd being definitely a top 10 pound for pound fighter is not such an easy claim to say. There is an argument to that.
Hurd has done more at his weight class than Earl Spence has.
Yes, but I would say Earl Spence looks far away a better fighter than the two. And I'll also say, I would also say,
I don't know if that's true, but it might be true.
I would also, it's true.
I wouldn't say it's true. I would say
it's true.
I would
He's
say
unified. He's unified the division.
That's great.
He's done more at his weight class.
That's awesome. I would argue that a Kell Brook win is better than Eslani Lara win. At the time that those two respective fights happen,
it's the same level. It's the same level, I would say. Like that's comparable. Then you look at the rest of the stuff. You know, Matt's probably right about that. I love Lara. Lara's one of my favorite fighters ever. But at that point, Brook was probably better.
Yep.
There's probably more left. Matt's probably right about that.
Yep. Think about Lara struggled with Brian Castano, guys. Like this isn't the Lara that fought Canelo. It's a different Lara. Fu's quiet. He doesn't want to argue.
Because he's kind of right. Like you throw those two names around, those two names seem about equal. You know, Lara and Kell Brook. But then you think about what they had left when they fought. Yeah, Brook had more left in his tank.
And also, I will add the individual wins. The Brook win was more impressive than the Lara win. There's people that think Lara beat Jarrett Hurd. Like there's an argument there. No, don't shake your head. Don't shake your head, Fu. Hold on. Fu just shook his head like there's aren't people out there that think that's a controversial decision. It is a controversial decision.
Munguia has better footwork than Hurd.
Okay, but Fu, come on. I think it's a controversial decision. I think
Lara won. I had Lara 114, 113. Everyone had that fight 114, 113, including all three.
90 seconds.
That was a really, really close fight. No one got upset with the decision because it was a great fight and it was super close. But I scored for Lara, I think.
Wow, Earl Spence.
The day after the fight,
jumping in here, Gary. Jumping in, tag teaming here. Pause. Earl Spence finished Kell Brook. Finished him. Come on, man. I win.
Hurd's done more at the weight class.
Yo, because he fought what? Who did he beat?
I'm sorry.
Who did he beat for his other belt? Remind me.
60 seconds.
Harrison. It was a vacant belt. He beat Harrison.
He beat Tony Harrison for a vacant belt. Okay, that doesn't mean really a lot to me. That I'll be honest. Chris Algieri has done more than Tony Harrison. You want to fight me on that?
That depends on where you rate Jermell Charlo.
But it's not about that, Gary. It's very clear. It's very easy. I would say that the Algieri win over Provodnikov was more decisive than the Tony Harrison win over Jermell Charlo. Even though both were close.
That depends who you ask.
They both were close.
Provodnikov won that fight easy. I thought he won that fight. As soon as they easy, I thought he won it wide.
What?
But there's people who think, yeah.
Oh my God, Gary, you are not helpful in this argument. You're just flipping back and forth here.
10 seconds.
I thought that was a terrible decision, but there are people like you and Paulie Malignaggi who thought Algieri would win almost every round.
Yeah.
So people were wide on that fight.
Anyways, Gary, what else do you want to talk about? Discuss.
The Hurd. You were talking about Hurd fighting Canelo down the road.
Yes.
Eventually. I think Hurd would win that fight. I think Canelo fades late, and I think Trout's the wrong guy to fade against. But stylistically, there are other guys at 160. Like I think Hurd stops Canelo late. I think there are other fights stylistically, like Billy Joe Saunders or Andre, that could beat Hurd at 160.
Wait. Hold on. You don't think Canelo's defensive improvement, his footwork, his counterboxing ability is not good enough to beat Jarrett Hurd, but Billy Joe Saunders is?
I think he fades late. I don't think Billy Joe has a gas tank issue. It's not that I think that Billy Joe is necessarily better than Canelo. I just think stylistically.
But Gary,
Canelo,
we haven't seen a gas tank issue for some time with Canelo. He had 2 back-to-back wars with Triple G. At any point, did his gas tank fail him in those fights at all?
I scored the second fight a draw because I gave the last 3 rounds to Triple G. I don't know. He didn't look like he was shot, but I thought Triple G won the late rounds, and that's why I scored it even.
Okay.
And the other fight he was on steroids for. So
shout out to that Mexican beef.
He was on clenbuterol.
Which is what? It helps you breathe, right? Which is
it's not a steroid. It's not a steroid.
Okay. Like a peanut's not a nut. I feel like we're playing semantics here. Okay.
Well,
it's a banned substance.
It's a 100%. It's 100% a performance enhancing drug and banned substance, Gary. But you should know this by now that the science behind clenbuterol is 100% not finalized when it comes to the Mexican and Chinese markets for their respective issues right now that are not just pertaining to boxing and sports. It's a issue as a country right now. So, I just don't think that they say, oh, he was on steroids. Like that, come on, Gary. Add some nuance to it.
Gary, don't you think Canelo's the best 160 fighter, though?
Just on an eye test? Yeah, I think he's the best guy at 160.
I just think he has the potential to be... Sorry, bud. Go ahead.
I think stylistically there could be... I think stylistically Andrade might be able to beat him. If Andrade stays focused and fights hard all 12 rounds and doesn't get into his bowls, Andrade is going to be tough for anyone in that weight class.
Andrade has always been disappointing to me. I don't know what you're talking about.
He's like a snooze fest at times.
Yeah, I don't know what your idea is of Andrade being this world beater. Like, I don't know what fight you can show me where you think that was the case.
Tim, I really like Unrivaled's pound for pound list, honestly.
Gary.
It's very good.
Was Canelo outboxed by Lara?
Sorry, repeat that?
Was Canelo outboxed by Lara?
Yeah.
Was he outboxed by Trout?
Yeah.
So why couldn't he be outboxed by Andrade?
Gary, it's very simple. Those fights happened half a decade ago.
Yeah, but why are you bringing up facts for?
Facts are subversive.
Gary, I'll be this way. You go back and you watch any of the Triple G fights. Go back and watch those again and tell me that Triple G won them. I'm telling you, man. Like, Canelo's boxing ability, his counter boxing ability, that is the antithesis of what Hurd brings. Those two guys are water and oil in the perfect way.
I could see more of a Lara Hurd fight out of Canelo than anybody else at 160 right now. Because defensively, Canelo is just a fucking monster.
And he has power. That's the other thing. Billy Joe Saunders doesn't have pop. And he's also not. He's not in the division anymore. Andrade, It's not that he doesn't have pop, it's that he has no killer instinct whatsoever. Like, he doesn't know really how to use his power, or I should say his abilities. Canelo does.
Has Andrade ever been in a life and death fight? I can't think of any.
Life or death or hurt?
The modern Andrade. Was Andrade ever in a life or death fight?
Life or death? No, but he's definitely been hurt in a ton of fights.
Fights. Yeah, I'm just, yeah. I'm trying to think of a situation where he had to dig deep. I don't think there is any.
Yeah, but his best opponent's Marta Rosen, too. Like, let's put that into perspective.
Is that his best? I mean, yeah.
That's his best win. To this day, that's his best win. And he fought him on HBO. That's how old that fight is.
Yeah, he really.
I think Andrade is good, but he's got a lot to prove to me. You wanna do something real quick, Gary? You want to rate Unrivaled's pound for pound list? He specifically asked for you to rate it.
Oh, he did. Okay, so number 1, Usyk. Number 2, Crawford. Number 3, Loma. Number 4, Rungsvi. Number 5, Canelo. And this is where it starts getting a little bit iffy. I will say this. Number 6, Jarrett Hurd. Number 7, Earl Spence. Number 8, Miguel Perchelt. Number 9, Alexander Vajdik. That was a surprise. And number 10, Koze Tanaka. I'm not upset with that, other than the fact that you picked one Japanese fighter to put in the list, and it's not Inoue. This list is bad. Very bad.
Yeah, Inoue's got a... There's one... Usyk number 1, and I love Usyk. I don't know if you can put him over Crawford or Loma or Inoue. And why is Inoue not on that list? Right? Like if the cruiserweight division was more mainstream in America, like I think Usyk would get a lot more credit because he cleaned up the division and then beat the old outstanding, whatever you want to call it, Leo Campo. He beat Baloo, right? The guy who never really lost his title at cruiserweight, and he beat every other champion. What Usyk did at cruiserweight was really, really, really good. But it's still tough to put him over a guy like Crawford and Loma, who's done that so many different weight classes. And Mikey Garcia should still be on your list. Mikey Garcia lost to a welterweight. If he was if he was in the top 5 of your list, Garcia should still be on your list. Right,
Wait, Unrivaled Box Talking News saying who's Inoue beat? Yo, what? What are you talking about, man? No. The guy that Tanaka just beat last week, Inoue beat him in his 5th fight to win his first belt. What are you talking about, man? Unrival's trolling. I'm convinced. He must be trolling.
A lot of people don't follow the real small weight classes. Inoue won his first belt at what, 105 or 108? 105. Right?
105, I want to say.
108.
Yeah, 105. No, it was 108. It might be. Oh, fuck. I don't remember.
108. Because he skipped the weight class. No, it was 105, 108, and then 115. He skipped 112. He skipped flyweight. He won it at 105.
Okay.
That's the smallest weight class there is. A lot of people don't pay attention to those weight classes. I don't know. I mean, he might be serious or he might be trolling. But if you pay attention to those weight classes, you could make a pretty good argument that whatever he is, 16, 18 fights in a way, he's got the best resume in the sport.
Yep.
You can make that argument. It's not a crazy argument. So he's got to be in the top 5. Usyk at number 1, I haven't heard that before. Yeah, I
have.
On a 1 to 10, I'll give his resume a 6.
Ooh.
How do you put Usyk over Crawford? Right, Crawford unified and then won belts in 2 other weight classes.
Yeah, but you really couldn't give Crawford's resume more than like a 6, right?
I don't understand that at all. Crawford's?
I mean, like 140 wasn't super stacked.
Yeah. I'm a Crawford stan, but I actually agree with you here, Foo. So I'm going to let Gary defend Crawford.
He's won 7 world titles, right? 2 at 35, 40, and 1 at 47.
Yep.
He's got Ricky Burns. He's got
Good name.
Beltran. He's got so many good names. Now, he doesn't have the career-defining name. He doesn't have the Errol Spence or the Keith Thurman on his resume yet. But his resume is really good. Like even Delarme is a good fighter.
I would
he
say
made him look like nobody.
I would say Crawford's resume is more of like a 7.5. And I'll be honest, as it ages, it does get better. Like you bring up Thomas Delarme. Thomas Delarme gave Jesse Vargas a draw in his last fight. Arguably beat Ordonis Ugas. Crawford dominated him, like made him look like a rank amateur. You know, dominated Ndongo, dominated Postal, like didn't dominate Gamboa, but definitely beat Gamboa decisively.
He kind of dominated. He knocked him down how many times? Like 6 times. How many times?
Yeah, but he got hurt. You can't say you dominate when you get hurt.
No, he did.
When you get hurt, you just can't say that. And plus, I would say he dominated Jeff Horn, who beat Manny Pacquiao, who is now being used as the main tool to prop up Earl Spence, Keith Thurman, and Sean Porter. So, you know, he beat the guy that beat the guy for all the lineal guys out there.
Oh, shit.
You know, I mean, he beat Jeff Horn, who beat Manny Pacquiao. And now Manny Pacquiao is going to be used to big up Earl Spence and all these guys at PBC. Again, his resume is good. It's not great. So that's why I think it's hard to make Crawford number one, other than just eye test, because he is a fantastic boxer. Canelo's number one.
Yeah, but he can only be. I put Crawford at number one once Andre Wood retired. Right, Andre Wood retired. Crawford unified, became undisputed at 40. That's the man. So to me, he was put number one pound for pound before he ever fought Jeff Horn. Right, and Jeff Horn just put icing on the cake. So from 135 to 140, there's no one Crawford didn't fight. Now you may not love the name. It was like when Hopkins was running rough shots to 160. You may not love those names. They might not be the best names you've heard, but he fought everyone. So you can't fault him for that. There was no one he avoided at 35 or 40.
Yeah, but Gary, like I've said this before, just because like not all mandatories are created equal, not all contenders are created equal, not all champions are created equal. The Klitschko's reigned the heavyweight division for 10 years. It was just a shitty division. That doesn't mean that their reigns mean more than guys that had half the reign but had better names. You know, like you had to have that sort of calculation in it. You know, even though Crawford has been everyone that's been put in front of him, being them decisively on top of that, he is unfortunately a product of his divisions not being filled with any notable names at the time. Gamboa is still his biggest name to date, I would argue, and that's an issue.
It's his biggest name. That's true. It's his biggest name, but it's not the best name on the resume. And Ndongo and Postal are the best names on the resume, and people don't love those fighters, but those are really good fighters. Postal destroyed Lucas Matisse. Postal's a good fighter, and Crawford had no problem with him.
I mean, that's subjective. I think Gamboa probably has a better resume than those two guys, respectively, to be honest. But it is what it is. Again, I would say, regardless, you know, he does not have a signature win, and that it does hurt your pound-for-pound case to not have that signature win. Even Usyk has a couple that you can sort of point to, like Gassiev. That was so dominant in such a star-making performance that's a signature win. Tony Bellew, that's a signature win. Crawford really doesn't have those, in a way, in my opinion.
He's going to get those at 147, though.
Yeah, he just doesn't have them yet. He just doesn't have them yet.
He's not going to get it unless he fights Errol Spence, right? Because if he beats Sean Porter or Danny Garcia, let's say, that's not a signature win at this point. You know what I'm saying? The only way he gets that. Keith Thurman, I don't know. I want to see Keith Thurman again. I don't know that he's back. So he's got to fight Errol Spence. There's no other career-winning name at this point, right? Most people think that Ugas just beat Sean Porter. So what would Crawford beating him do? You know what I'm saying? It's a good win. It's a scalp on your resume, but it's not going to – if you had questions about Crawford, you're still going to have those same questions. You know what I'm saying? Beating Porter at this point, I don't think changes anything. So he's got to beat Spence, and Spence has got to beat him. So that fight needs to happen. So let's start calling for that fight right now.
Well, the good news, Gary, is that Bob Arum did come out and say if Crawford is successful in beating Khan that they want to make that fight. So let's see.
Actually, Gary, any last things? We're going to go to another call. We're going to try to wrap up this show. Any last points, any last discussions you want to have?
Go ahead.
Thank you, Gary. We're on to 901. I know who this is, but I don't. You know what I mean? I feel like I know this.
901.
I know the second this person says their name.
This is Mr. DAZN, right?
Is it Mr. DAZN? Ooh, it might be Mr. DAZN. Or it's 92 Aku. But I think if 92 Aku was calling in, he would also be in the chat. So I think you're right. It might be Mr. DAZN. Is this Mr. DAZN?
What's going on, fellas? I just want to say,
It is.
last time I probably rubbed you guys the wrong way.
No, you're good. No, hey.
I just want to tell you guys this.
Hey,
I just want to wait. Just hear me out.
Okay,
one
okay,
time.
okay.
Just hear me out, bro. Just please.
You go.
Please. I'm a fan. I'm a big fan of you. I don't know what's your name. You got the Grizzly sweater on. What's your name? I just want to.
Matthew.
I want to know what's your name.
Matt or Matthew depends on
Matthew. I'm a big fan of Matthew. Big Matt. I'm gonna call you Big M. Big M. I'm a fan of you. I just want to say, I happened to see you on the Boxing Voice before. Is that true? Did you work with the Boxing Voice?
Yes. I helped run that channel for a period of time.
See, I'm a big fan of the Boxing Voice, and I mean, at first I didn't know that, like, but now I did my research and I seen you, like, I'm a huge fan of you. I just want you to know that, and I like the way that you break down MMA because I'm a big fan of mixed martial arts. I'm a big fan, and I'm sorry the last time, bro. And I just want to say that you were actually the first person to break the news that Deontay Wilder wasn't coming to the zone, and I think that's because I was so like happy that I believe that I thought he was coming to the zone, you know, and I was ready for the big fight, you know what I mean, with him and Anthony Joshua. And when you broke that news, I don't think I was ready for it, you know. And I really apologize, buddy, because I kind of got to like, man, I don't know, I got emotional, man, or something like.
Mr.
Because
DAZN.
the fight wasn't gonna happen, man. And
Mr. DAZN, let me cut in here. You have nothing. You have nothing to apologize about, sir. Don't worry about it. I think what you misunderstood as us being upset with your car, anything like that, was Rob upset because you had the name Mr. DAZN, and Rob being a petty fucker, he was like, "Oh, he's Mr. DAZN. I'm Mr. DAZN." So it was more of that. Okay, don't worry about anything at all.
Okay,
you're good, Mr. DAZN. We're good.
Okay,
we're straight.
Okay,
don't worry about anything like that. Okay.
Okay, Rob was just worried that you might steal Eddie Hearn.
Yeah.
Him.
Rob was definitely concerned you were taking his lane. That's all.
But there's a lot of things that I want to discuss with you guys because, I mean, I'm a big fan. I just want to say, like, I'm a huge boxing fan, and my boy Matt. I just want to tell you about my younger brother. Mm-hmm. He's a huge MMA fan. He's like a MMA guru. Like, I really want you to talk to my brother if you ever want it. Like, if you ever need somebody to help you break down any fights, my brother, man, I told him, like, you're the guy. I told my brother, I said, man, this is the next guy. Like, I didn't know your name at the time. I was like, man, I told him, like, I showed him your videos. I was like, he knows what he's talking about. So, I mean, hopefully one day you could talk to my brother and y'all could talk some MMA. But me, I'm a boxing guy. I just want to talk about boxing for a second.
Go for it.
I mean, what do you think about Devin Haney and Eddie Hearn meeting up? I didn't see you talk about this recently. Like Eddie Hearn and Devin Haney, they had a meeting, and Devin Haney was at the zone card with Tevin Farmer was fighting against Carroll for the belt, and Devin Haney was actually there to watch Luke Campbell. And Luke Campbell, he's an Olympic gold medalist. And Luke Campbell is, I believe, the #1 contender for the WBC title that Mikey Garcia is vacating. And Devin Haney, he's very interested in that fight with Luke Campbell. And we all know Luke Campbell, he's a DAZN fighter. So the rumor has it, I mean, not rumor, but I heard Devin Haney in the interview. Devin Haney, he said it himself. He said he's going to fight Luke Campbell for that WBC belt. So, what do you think about Devin Haney in the zone? What do you think about this? Do you think it can happen? What you see?
I think it could happen. I've always make this distinction of possibility and probability, right? Like it's a complete possibility. Is it probable? I don't know yet. I'm on the fence about it. I'm admitting I'm sitting on the fence about it. I think Devin Haney has always been, at least on appearance sake, has always seemed like he has a good mind for his own career and very independent thinking when it comes to his career path and what he wants to do. So if anyone was to, let's say, leave like the Showtime apparatus as their own promoter, like Devin Haney, and a young guy, and try to go to DAZN or ESPN, it would be a guy like Devin Haney. So that's why it's making me think, oh, this is possible. And plus, he wants to fight Luke Campbell. That's a matchroom fighter. It's a DAZN fighter. I think it is a distinct possibility. And what would I like to happen? Just to add to that, I think I would like Devin Haney to at least come over for a couple fights on DAZN and fight Luke Campbell. I think it makes the most sense right now.
Yes. Yes.
If he does, if he doesn't, there are plenty of options for him to do other things. 135, there are some really good prospects that PBC has, that Showtime has. They could fight. If he wants to go to ESPN and ply his trade there, obviously ESPN has some really good lightweights. So he can do a lot right now, Haney. Haney has options. So anytime a fighter has options and value, it's really hard to pinpoint what they're going to do next because anything is a possibility. Fu, I want to get Fu's thoughts on this, if that's okay, Mr. DAZN. If that's okay. Fu, what do you think about Devin Haney coming to DAZN, potentially co-promoting with Matchroom, whatever it may be?
I think it's a good move. I think there's good fights there for him. He's a sharp kid, obviously very top talent. If he can get in there and get a fight against Campbell, man, I don't know how I feel about that fight. I think just initially I would pick Campbell. I really like Campbell. I rate Campbell very high. And we've talked about Devin Haney before. Like, I really like him, but I think he's got a lot to work. I think he's about a year away from maybe a year and a half away from just being really, really the top of 135. Whereas I think Campbell's
being ready for the top, Yeah.
I think Campbell's like there, I mean, I feel like he did well against Linares. I don't know how Haney would have done it with Linares at that point in his, in his career. But I would love to see him on DAZN. I mean, it's another name. It's a good name for cards. I think he could be in some fun matchups. So, I mean, yeah, I'd like to see it.
Okay, well, I believe in my heart that Devin Haney is the best American prospect in the world.
Could be.
And Devin Haney is only 20 years old. He trained with Floyd Mayweather. He's been boxing since, I think, he's been training with Floyd Mayweather Sr. since he was 9 years old. He also trained with Virgil Hunter, Andre Ward's trainer. He's from Oakland, the same place as Andre Ward. And this kid is a pure fighter. He's not like a party type guy. He's pure boxing. And I believe in my heart that Devin Haney could be the next Floyd Mayweather. And I'm a huge fan of Devin Haney. And I'm also thinking about a potential clash of Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia. They fought each other 6 times in the amateurs. They're 3-3 in the amateurs. Ryan Garcia, he fights on Golden Boy. He fights for Golden Boy in DAZN. So, I mean, DAZN has huge fights to offer for Devin Haney. What a clash between Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia on DAZN. Ryan Garcia fights this Saturday on DAZN. I hope everybody watches it. And, I mean, those are big fights. Luke Campbell for the WBC belt and Devin Haney also fighting Ryan Garcia. I'm all for that. And I believe Devin Haney is a great champion in the future. So I hope it happens. I'm praying for it. Last time I thought Wilder was coming to DAZN and everything just, everything just was ruined. Deontay Wilder, he's really, to me in my heart, how I really feel, I think he's a joke. I think he's all talk. He might be the Adrian Broner of the heavyweight division because one thing about it, I have a question. Name one fighter, name one champion Deontay Wilder has beat.
I mean,
just one champion.
Technically speaking,
I mean, we can't.
He beat.
Yes, one champion.
Technically speaking, he beat Bermain Stavern, who was a champion.
He was a champion. How was Luis Stavern a champion?
Bermain Stavern.
Who did he beat for that title, that WBC title?
He defeated Chris Areola for the vacant belt. He defeated Chris Areola for the vacant belt. Yep.
For a vacant title.
Yep.
So he won a vacant title from Areola, but it's not like he had a title defense. It wasn't like he was a true champion. It wasn't like he actually beat a champion. He won a vacant title. So Stavern, in my eyes, is not a true champion. I mean, I don't think anybody considers Stavern
would you classify
champion in history?
Would you classify Charles Martin as a legit champion?
I mean, that's a good point. They could be in the same boat. I gotta really do my research on Charles Martin and who he beat for that title. But I was just thinking about it, like, who has Deontay Wilder has beat with I mean, name one good fighter. I mean, Luis Ortiz, he is about 36 years old, and who has Luis Ortiz beat? I mean, I'm starting to believe that Deontay Wilder is all hype. And I'm Mr. DAZN. I'm happy DAZN didn't sign Deontay Wilder. I don't think.
Oh no, bro, no, don't say that. We need those fights.
Deep down inside of my heart, I mean, I think he's really gonna regret it. And I'm so happy that it didn't happen. Now DAZN could use that money for other good fighters like a Devin Haney or Earl Spence. I mean, Andre Ward. Hopefully, Andre Ward can come out of retirement. I mean, that's how I'm feeling. And
we're bringing Sweet Pea back, signing him to DAZN. Nah, man. Look, you got to really be careful with that argument about Wilder. Yeah, I mean, tons of guys win.
I mean, he got knocked out. He got knocked out in the Olympics. Come on, bro. I know you've seen the footage. Everybody's seen it. He got knocked out with headgear on. He has a weak chin. His brother
got knocked
just
down.
got knocked out. I mean,
I don't think he got knocked out.
But
his brother got knocked. I mean, he was out. He was out. He was out, bro. He was out.
Mr. DAZN.
His fucking legs were gone.
Mr. DAZN.
Mr. DAZN.
Did Canelo go to the Olympics? Did Canelo go to the Olympics? Did Canelo go to the Olympics?
I mean, I can't remember all
did Crawford did Terrence Crawford go to the Olympics? No, he did not.
Here's the thing that I'll say is you got to be really careful with making arguments about someone not being a champion because they won a vacant belt. You know, like, people win vacant belts all the time. The truth of the matter is he's had 9 defenses of that belt. I think it's at 9 now, right?
You know Tyson Fury outboxed him. We all know
Tyson
Fury outboxed him.
No one's disputing that.
Tyson Fury really won that fight.
No one's disputing that, but you can't say that someone's not a champion because they won a vacant belt. And he's defended the belt.
There's a lot of champions.
He's not a champion.
There's a lot of champions that have done that.
I just question Stavern as a true champion. I just question Stavern, the legitimacy of Stavern as a true champion. That's all I was saying. And I was just thinking about Deontay Wilder, his resume, who has he beat? And he really hasn't beat anybody when we think about it. And there's another thing I wanted to tell you guys. I was looking at the ESPN top 10. I'm talking about the ESPN top 10 pound for pound list in boxing. Okay?
Yeah.
I happened to see 4 DAZN fighters on the ESPN top 10 pound for pound list. 4 DAZN fighters on the ESPN list, right? We got Usyk, the undisputed champion, moving up to heavyweight. He's on that list. Anthony Joshua, he holds 4 belts: the IBO, WBO, WBA, and IBF heavyweight title.
IBO's not a belt.
We have Canelo Alvarez on that list. Yes, we have Canelo Alvarez also on that list, and Triple G on that list. It's 4 DAZN fighters on the ESPN top pound for pound list. So, I mean, DAZN rules boxing right now. I mean, what do you think about that comment right there? DAZN having the most fighters on the top pound for pound list right now.
Mr. DAZN, we're going to answer that question right now, but thank you for the call. We're going to head out after we answer that question. I mean, it's good for DAZN. I mean, we know that DAZN has acquired a lot of talent. That's never been in doubt. You know, I know we didn't discuss the DAZN new pricing yet. I know that was on the list. I don't know if we want to touch on that very quickly, Fu, if we can.
It's have to be super quick.
Super quick. I know it's fucking late.
2-hour and 30-minute show so far.
Yeah, but that's what happens, guys, when we don't do a show for almost a week. Okay, the people want to talk. Okay, let me just find wherever it is. Here it is. DAZN reveals a $99 yearly plan, monthly increase to $20, $19.99 per month for new subscribers. And moving forward in 2020, all subscribers' monthly subscriptions will be $20, including those that are grandfathered in this year, like me. Brief thoughts on this is that, look, obviously for like the Canelo month, for a month that has an AJ fight that's big, like the months that feature big content, $20 a month isn't a big deal. It isn't that much. It isn't that big of a concern. Even the yearly pricing. I'm never a fan of one-time yearly plans, though, to be honest with you. Like, as a person that does live paycheck to paycheck at times, it is hard to do $100 off the rip for something that I can sparse out and, afford better. And afford, if I wanted to, stop paying it and only pay for the big months of DAZN and stream illegally the other fights, I could save money. Luckily, I'm not doing as bad nowadays. I don't have to worry about that too much. But back in the day, that was definitely a concern. But I also want to add this sort of, again, a little bit of a criticism to this price point. There are networks, premium networks, apps that produce a lot more content, a lot greater content that's watched by a lot more people. That is half the price. That is going to be an issue. Just from a PR perspective, from an optics perspective, when you have double the market value of a monthly subscription compared to HBO and Showtime and others, that's hard to fight. That's hard to battle against from just a pure PR optics perspective for your critics. But I think it was necessary because obviously they're spending a lot of capital right now, and they're only going to spend more and more as the years roll on. So I knew this was going to happen. I'm just waiting for when ESPN Plus is going to raise their subscription rate, because it is going to happen, guys. I'm telling you. There are way too many UFC cards on ESPN Plus for them not to raise that subscription in a few months. Fu, I know you are a little more positive about this. I'm a little bit more of a indifference. I knew it was going to happen. It's still above market value. Yes, it's less than pay-per-views, but pay-per-views are wildly overpriced, so that's not really saying much to me personally. But Fu, I know you have a more positive outlook on this news, so your thoughts on this?
I just think this is a bold move and a smart business decision, because the people who are going to buy the year are already like on board with the zone, right?
They're the people that they're me. They're people that are already paying every month regardless. They're me. So
you win in that equation, right?
Yeah, because I'll save money.
It's a very smart decision in terms of, like, a lot of businesses try to target people that they can't win. It's kind of like in politics when people pander to like a base they're not going to win anyways. And DAZN just said, look, we already got these guys, and they're going to pay $20 a month if they want to keep it, or they're going to buy it in a year at a time. The base they know they're not going to get are the people who want to dip in and dip out. And in that moment, it's like, if you want to see Joshua versus, Miller,
or
$20.
Canelo Jacobs,
Yeah, $20. And you'll pay that, because the reality is that Jacobs and Canelo is a $75 fight if it's on HBO. That's a pay-per-view, So the way that I look at this is we win because we're going to get better pricing, and DAZN is making a smart business move to be able to collect more and more fighters because they're upping the cost. It's going to make them more solvent in terms of, like, until they get some different sports. This also is going to help them capture those other sports because they're going to have more capital to play with. $20 is not a lot of money for everything you get.
Depends on the month.
To me, look, and I get it. Not everyone makes a ton of money, and we are going to see a ESPN increase at some point, $5 a month. There's way too much content on there. And I think as they shift more and more content to ESPN Plus, that price is going to go up, because eventually the cord is going to get cut, and a lot of that ESPN programming is going to go to Plus.
I'm going to push back a little bit on, and we're not going to say too much on this because, again, it's a 2.5-hour show. I want to get out of here. It's late. I know you want to get out of there. It's very late over there in Dallas. But I don't think DAZN has the content yet for this price. I think us boxing fans, we're going to pay for it regardless, right? Like you said, they're pandering to us hardcores. because they know we're going to pay for it. People like me, they know they're going to buy.
Yep.
But again, when we've talked about before, DAZN's success, it's always been about, hey, DAZN's success is not tied to boxing. It 100% is not. So even though they are pandering to an audience and base that they have right now, it's not the base that's going to get them to the promised land, so to speak. I think that is a fundamental issue. On top of that, again, their content base, the amount of content they have per month, is not worth $20 usually. When you compare it to, again, HBO and Showtime, which produce massive TV shows. Game of Thrones is coming back on in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, right? My HBO subscription is still $10 a month, $11 a month, right? It's half the price of this. You know, that is an issue. And maybe it's just a PR issue, but it is an issue. How big of an issue is, maybe DAZN thinks it's not one, but I do think it is one. Because even though I was not of this mindset, and I thought the boxing Twitter vitriol against this news was getting far too much, it was, but that was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen, and that is an issue they're going to have to deal with, is to get those boxing fans on their side, because they don't even have all of the boxing fan base on their side. On top of that, it's not even the fan base they need in order to succeed as a sport streaming entity, because boxing is still a niche sport. That's sort of my thoughts about this, is that, yes, the price for me and you is still lower than what we were paying for the previous paradigm, but it's still not the solution to DAZN's issues. It's not the thing that's going to get them the capital they need to buy NFL rights, NBA rights. I don't think that. On top of that, I don't think that this base that they're pandering to is that big, and that's an issue.
Oh, it's definitely not that big. We know that. I mean, we know, like, if you look at Showtime's viewership, right? This is basically probably the same base as like a Showtime in terms of like fandom, right?
If not lower.
Yeah. So ultimately, why I think it's a good move is because it positions them to already be at the price point they want to be at, when other people are going to have to are already offering a shit ton of content for very low, and it's only double the price, where I could see ESPN going more into the $15 and $20 a month. And at that point, you really are going to piss some people off, especially if ESPN doesn't get it together with the jumping from plus to regular TV back and all that.
That's not the issue for me. Their user interface is so shitty. That needs to be shifted. But anyways, guys, we're going to head out of here. It's been a long show. I'm Matt, the Hipster Hunter. You can find me at Matt Hunter, MCR, all platforms. Hope you guys enjoyed the fights this weekend and the news we talked about today. Hit the like button on your way out. Share the show. Head to patreon.com/Mixed Combat Radio to help support the channel in any financial way. Fu, final thoughts so that people know where to find you at.
Fugatti_MCR at all platforms. Yeah, I've been a lot more active on Twitter, trying to, keep kind of in contact with everyone. And great show, Matt. It was a lot of fun. Thank you guys that called in. Everyone that was active in the chat. Thank you guys so much. It's a lot of fun to do this.
Peace.